One when Tae-In bumped into the girl he liked, she looked at him with pure disgust. He clearly stood no shot with her, but damn, why did she have to be so beautiful? Suddenly, some rich jerk whacked him on the head, warning him to stop staring at Jo Yun. He was basically treated like a total loser, his entire life a joke. He was just a regular guy who wanted to chill in the corner reading comics. But the universe decided to end the world right in the middle of his school day. A sudden explosion shattered the windows. A massive purple monster appeared. It tore right through the classroom floor, sending everyone into absolute panic. The same arrogant bully who had just humiliated Tae-In was now cowering on the floor. He was trembling and begging for his life. Then, a glowing blue screen appeared. A mysterious system screen suddenly floated right in front of his face, completely direct. Humanity was being wiped out, and Tae-In had been chosen to fight. The catch survived 66,000 years of torture in an otherworldly tower. He had to endure all those painful years of training to save his planet. But the system had a major loophole, and you'll love how he used it. As a bonus, he could pick absolutely any item to help him climb. Anything goes. So Tae-In stared at that screen and boldly asked for a skip ticket. The system tried to block him, claiming that would ruin the game balance. The screen argued that was not how the trial worked, but Tae-In yelled right back. The rules said any item was allowed. Cornered by its own flaw, the system broke. It was forced to hand over the golden ticket, which he activated instantly. In a single second, he skipped 66,666 years of absolute hell. Blinding light swallowed the city as system notifications spammed his screen. They congratulated him for clearing the entire Tower of Trials in a flash. All limitations vanished, instantly maxing out his magic power and stats to triple S rank. Tae-In was no longer a mere human. He woke up as an absolute god. The purple monster roared, charging to devour him, but he didn't even blink. Without taking a single step back, Tae-In simply raised his hand and flicked the colossal beast. But that simple flick was a massive, catastrophic miscalculation. Tae-In didn't just disintegrate the monster, he wiped the entire high school off the map. A shockwave of pure destruction tore through, instantly slicing across the entire country. It was a devastating, planetary-level strike in a fraction of a second. Tae-In stared at the destruction in total disbelief, realizing this was not what he expected. The system calculated his rewards for conquering 389 gates. He had cleared the challenges and annihilated over 1 million monsters. But he never expected his collateral damage to reach a shocking 2 billion human lives. The bully stammered in absolute terror, asking what the hell just happened. Faced with this absolute catastrophe, Tae-In realized he could use magic to fix everything. He activated his time reversal magic to completely undo the devastation. Slowly, the catastrophic effects of his simple finger flick began to rewind. Time quickly rewound to 0, and the giant purple beast stood before him once again. As the spell finished, the monster panickingly sensed his godlike aura. Tae-In was pretty startled himself, still adjusting to his newly acquired status as a transcendent. While the creature desperately tried to flee, he wondered where the game balance went. But Tae-In easily trapped it using high-level spatial magic, almost feeling pity. Instead of taking the monster's life twice, Tae-In uses a portal to banish it straight to another dimension. He stretches afterward while the bully gasps at how incredible that was. Tae-In totally swept away that terrifying beast, but our main character just shrugs. He only shipped it off to a different dimension. The delinquent babbles that he always knew he could count on Mr. Pervert. Since Tae-In literally saved his life, then Tae-In remembers something. This guy was definitely not saying nice things to him earlier. Still, since the bully tried to protect him, Tae-In mentions that errand. Didn't he ask the bully to buy some bread earlier? The bully panics, begging him to just forget about all of that. He screams that everything is totally fine, backing away in fear. He does not need anything and desperately begs for forgiveness. Tae-In watches him quietly for a moment. Just wait here, he says. He has something else to handle first. Outside, the bully spots countless monsters swarming the city streets, and he shrieks for help. Tae-In tells him to wait, but the panicked bully asks what could possibly be more important than saving their school right now. Tae-In answers that he has to save his parents first. Honestly, that is completely fair. With that, Tae-In activates his teleportation and vanishes instantly. Back at his house, a lazy afternoon commercial plays on the television. Tae-In's parents are relaxing together, his mother remarks how peaceful everything is. And his father agrees it is the perfect day to watch some TV. But wait. News cuts in Seoul is under attack, and everyone must evacuate immediately. Jumped from the couch, the startled father wonders what is going on. Outside, horrific beasts are tearing through the streets of Seoul. His parents panic, staring in shock. Just then, a monster approaches the window. It charges energy in its fist as the terrified couple scrambles. But Tae-In appears right behind the beast, asking what it thinks it is doing. He instantly activates his reverse gravity ability directly on the target. The creature starts floating up into the sky, screaming in pure panic. Tae-In walks to the window, telling his parents he is still their son. They stare in disbelief, asking why he ran inside with his shoes on. Stepping inside, Tae-In yells that shoes are not the issue here. He thanks them for working so hard to raise him for 16 years. They used to worry about him, constantly reading comics on his phone. But they can relax now. He is officially humanity's savior, they ask. What kind of crazy nonsense he is spouting? Tae-In explains that he always wondered how typical fantasy protagonists acted during apocalyptic crises. Those main characters get insane powers to fulfill all their selfish desires. But Tae-In wonders, did they never worry about their own families? He refuses to be that careless, instantly casting defensive buffs on them. His confused parents keep asking what on earth is going on. Tae-In promises to protect them above all else, erecting massive barriers. This will keep them completely safe. No monster can touch them now. But now his goal is to save the rest of the world, leaving his confused parents completely lost. Tae-In says his goodbyes and tells them he loves them, vanishing immediately after. Back at school, the bully sneers at Tae-In's sudden return, asking about his parents. The bully announces Tae-In's return, asking how his parents are doing. Tae-In replies that they must be fine now, and the bully says that is a relief. Honestly, revenge is a dish best served warm, and as a former victim, he's ready to deliver. He says he cannot help himself. As a former victim of this punk, it is his duty. To teach him a lesson, Tae-In activates mass summoning magic, absolutely terrifying the bully. Tae-In decides hamburger buns are on the menu today, telling the bully to stuff his face. Food packages rain down, completely burying the helpless bully under a mountain of buns. He struggles to stand. Tae-In sighs, calling him pathetic and giving him a low score of 7. 7 out of 10 on the satisfaction scale. The confused bully asks what he is talking about. Iljin claims he never did anything bad enough to deserve this level of insane cruelty. Tae-In realizes the guy needs a quick reminder, so he triggers a brutal trip down memory lane. The bully has clearly blocked it out, but Tae-In still remembers every single agonizing detail. Vivid memories of mocking laughter during his beatings flood back, along with his burning uniform. Forced to strip off the stinking clothes, he still tastes the ruined school lunches. Thrown directly into the toilet and forced down his throat, the pure, suffocating despair of those days. Humiliation like having a padlock snapped onto his glasses. Tae-In asks if he really forgot all that. The delinquent panics, screaming that he never did any of those horrible things. Admitting he forced Tae-In to buy buns is one thing, but he swears the rest is a lie. Besides, Tae-In does not even wear glasses. Tae-In asks if he is calling him a liar. Terrified by Tae-In's cold glare, the bully stammers that maybe he actually did. Still, Tae-In shrugs, saying he accepts the apology and is willing to forgive him. To celebrate their new friendship, he offers to turn him into his favorite thing. Visualizing a massive, shredded physique, the bully hopes to become a powerhouse. Tae-In unleashes his shape-shifting magic, firing a direct beam at the bully. Thick smoke blankets the area, slowly clearing to reveal Iljin's bizarre new form. Our bully is now a literal hamburger bun, screaming to know what Tae-In did. Laughing, Tae-In just calls him cute, promising a reversal if he shows real remorse. Iljin begs, crying out that he is truly sorry and repents for everything. Just then, a voice calls out. Yunya steps in, asking what in the world is happening. The protagonist turns in surprise as she marvels, wondering if he was chosen by the gods. While Iljin begs to change back, Yunya asks if the hamburger is actually alive. He just calls it cute, leaving her to ask how he is not absolutely terrified. Society has completely collapsed, and countless people have already lost their lives. With the school totally empty and communication down, they cannot even call the police. She's shaking with fear, terrified of dying, and cannot understand how he can be so calm. Tae-In calls Yunya by name, asking if she has ever read a webtoon. Webtoons are fun, easy, and you do not need to overthink the plot at all. In fact, they are the only ones here because the author got too lazy to draw. She stares in pure confusion, completely unable to comprehend his bizarre fourth wall breaks. Her hero sighs, pointing out she is honestly far too boring to be a female lead. Yunya is stunned, while Tae-In thinks she might be the villain who is ruining the chapter's pacing, making him wonder if he should recruit someone else entirely. It breaks the flow of the webtoon chapters, so Tae wonders if he should find others. Tae-In activates his interdimensional summoning ability, aiming to summon a female lead. He just needs a better protagonist. Right on cue, the portal starts to glow. The blinding light covers the room. Yunya asks what is happening, and Tae-In responds. He intends to summon the most beautiful, charming woman from all of existence. Outside, the monsters tremble. Then, the summoning smoke slowly begins to clear. Iljin demands to know what that pervert did, while Tae-In watches a girl emerge. She steps out holding a bloody knife, locking her eyes straight on him. Tae-In does not react at all. The girl mutters that she did it. She actually killed German with her own hands. Tae-In instantly recognizes her. She is the lead of a story where she seduces a tyrant villain. Then she takes his life and becomes the ultimate villainess herself. She recalls how audacious her target was, calling her so casually by name. Nobody had ever spoken to the famous Lady of House Libert like that. Tae-In suddenly cuts her off, telling her to stop her dramatic monologue. He calls her Layla, reminding her that changing genres is completely out of the question. The first 3 chapters of a webtoon are crucial for keeping the readers hooked. If she brings in a heavy narrative like this, they will stay stuck in the school. Readers will quickly drop a slow webtoon. Layla, however, ignores his complaining. She keeps explaining her tragic past, but Tae-In tells her to shut it. He wants none of those flowery lines. Annoyed, Layla asks who he is. Why is a stranger raising his voice? Tae-In just tells her to lower the knife. She needs to calm down. Tae-In admits he rarely reads romance fantasies. Layla looks around, deeply confused about this place and why she is dressed like this. Just a moment ago, she was stabbing her husband. Tae-In simply snaps his fingers. The bloody dagger flies away. He commands her to clean up using magic. Once clean, her divine beauty shines, leaving Yunya and Iljin blushing like crazy. Wait, check this out, Layla asks who he is as Tae-In suddenly turns. He immediately activates a strong defensive barrier using his system magic. A massive monster slams its staff against the school, but it only hits the barrier. The attack does absolutely nothing. Yunya screams in terror, while Layla remains confused. Tae-In calmly watches the giant beast strike the shield repeatedly. The frustrated monster roars in anger after failing to break through. Tae-In laughs. This dumb beast is perfect for a quick warm-up. He leaps out the window, limiting his power to a millionth of its max. Using his unranked skill, Shock Finger, he obliterates the massive creature instantly. The girls watch in absolute awe. Layla admits it was pretty incredible. Yunya stammers that magic and monsters are supposed to be impossible. Tae-In chuckles, saying nobody cares as long as they are having fun. Activating his D-rank freezing skill, he instantly turns the horde into ice. Tae-In charges forward, triggering a massive stomp skill next. The resulting earthquake shatters the beasts. Tae-In sighs, wondering if he overdid it. He got carried away with the destruction. Holding back is pretty hard. His power is just too high, which secretly makes him ecstatic. The system confirms his first victory, but an endless horde quickly approaches. They rush straight at him. Tae-In smiles, welcoming the challenge. This is a fantasy game of hunters and portals, the absolute best of both worlds. He then activated maximum flight speed, in addition to his mighty psionic powers. Monsters shredded, the protagonist kept pushing forward relentlessly. He felled the last dragon beast, then paused. What now? He stared at the massive dimensional rift. Normally, he would step inside to clear it, but why bother? Instead, he used his dimensional exile skill. Those beasts got flung straight back through the gateway. It sealed shut. Zero chance to strike back. The protagonist declared he would just wipe the portal out completely. With that, the banishment was done. Tae-In figured this would keep Seoul safe for now. Teleporting back to school, he found the girls chatting. Layla smiled. He was back. While he was gone, she had been listening to local rumors about this place. Then, she traveled into the future. Tae-In smirked. It was not quite that, but he would simply adjust her to fit this world using his transformation skill. The protagonist knew that complex armor was a total nightmare to draw. Who wants that hassle? especially after messy giant monster fights. In a flash, Layla's outfit shifted. Into simple casual wear, Iljin instantly fell hard for her, Layla demanded. A proper cloak or gown right away, but Tae-In decided her. Hair was also way too complex to draw, so he tied it up, Yuna muttered. She never wanted to learn about his bizarre, perverted tastes, Tae-In insisted. She should drop the attitude while talking with friends, insisting he merely chose comfortable clothes, looking at the whole outfit. Maybe those shorts were a little too revealing, but Iljin begged him not to chain them. The protagonist assured Miss Lieberschen she could easily wear. Yuna asked if he could make luxury brands like Chanel or Louis Vuitton, and he questioned if she was really that shallow of a character. Layla cut in, declaring she was no longer Lieber, but Klesiwach, a royal noble title showing she had become the crown princess. The protagonist casually muttered that even with her hair bound, she was still a total mess. Layla whispered she lost the right to that name after taking her husband's life. Tae-In apologized, saying he was truly sorry and did not know the history of her world. Frankly, he had no idea what she meant, but he could tell she had suffered. Still, he did not want the grim details, leaving Layla confused. The protagonist guessed she had a terminal illness, making her gasp, wondering how he knew. But that was not all. She probably suffered through an arranged marriage to a man she detested. Her husband screwed up, leading to this disaster. Framed and falsely branded as a villain, she fell through the portal. The broken girl wept, saying it was all true. Tae-In comforted her, acknowledging her pain, but reminding her she did not have to live like that anymore. Layla whispered she killed the crown prince, but Tae-In replied that the prince attacked first. He activated the Seraphim's blessing upon her, assuring her she did nothing wrong. The girl gasped, feeling an incredibly warm, soothing energy. Tae-In smiled, explaining he had completely cured every single sickness in her body. Her days of facing death were over. Now she could finally live freely. In this moment, Layla truly felt free. Free from her powerful father, her closest friend, or even her husband. The crown prince, none of them offered real liberty, but this stranger just did. He gave her this priceless gift, and she thanked him with tearful gratitude. Suddenly, the protagonist noticed he had defeated 33 monsters, earning a rare achievement. He brushed it off as nothing, just the very beginning of their story, but the system suddenly announced that several cosmic constellations were highly interested in him. By keeping them entertained, he could unlock sponsorships and powerful skills. He even stood to gain massive item upgrades. Tae wondered about this. But with so many eyes fixed on him, he made his decision. He blocked them anyway. Who even does that? The system panicked. Who would reject such an insane opportunity? Tae simply replied he hated constellations. Turning back to his friends, he smoothly changed the subject to something bigger. He asked if they wanted to join him to save the world. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the powerful celestial council of cosmic beings gathered in deep fury. Huja Karuna of rage roared, how dare a mere mortal reject a god like him. He had never felt so insulted. Omo Shiroi, deity of games, laughed. This is pretty amusing, she noted, while Oshiku suggested teaching him a lesson. But Sekai, the absolute king of these cosmic beings, silenced the room. Despite being human, Tae climbed the Tower of Challenges and earned respect. Muramu of Despair scoffed, impossible, he's nothing but a lowly human. Dameda of Envy added that the boy skipped every single floor. One constellation demanded to descend to Earth and look at him directly. If he disrupts cosmic order, they will execute him. Simple. No hesitation. Back on Earth, Tae offered to share his vast power. They could now hunt monsters freely, but Yunya claimed it was completely pointless. Why risk her life for nothing? Ilg told her to calm down while Tae assured them they were safe. As his allies, they would never die. Yunya snapped back. With his insane level, he should just fight alone. Tae sighed heavily, complaining about her constant negative attitude. Sure, he was the overpowered protagonist, but doing everything alone was boring. Right on cue, a massive beast charged directly at them. Tae swung once, obliterating the beast instantly, explaining his grand theory to them. The stronger the main character, the more exciting his companions must become. Yunya rolled her eyes, admitting she had absolutely no idea what he meant. But Layla understood perfectly. They needed to slay beasts and protect the world. Having already ended her husband's life, she felt ready to kill anything. She locked eyes on a target. Tae watched her, feeling satisfied. This was his real goal, keeping things highly entertaining, for now. He had a perfect role in mind for Layla. She activated her malice skill. Slashing her dagger in rapid, deadly arcs, the target did not stand a chance. The beast was sliced into tiny pieces. Layla smiled, feeling incredibly liberated. She was born to be their deadly assassin. Yunya watched her in horror. Tae cheered, glad she had found her true class. Layla agreed, saying she had never felt such thrilling excitement before in her life. The beast creeps up from behind, rushing to strike her with slimy tentacles. They instantly wrap around Yuna. Iljin screams for everyone to save their princess. Yuna tells them to hurry up while Hamburger charges ahead, leaving Tae cheering. Reevaluating his life choices, Iljin focuses his energy and unleashes a headbutt. But it does absolutely nothing, making him wonder why his ability is so incredibly useless. Being a mascot sucks. He begs Tae to finally grant him a cool skill. Meanwhile, Leia happily thanks Hamburger. Iljin blushes, saying it was nothing. Tae just laughs, calling the fight entertaining before cleanly slicing the monster in half. Yuna stands there completely speechless. Tae nudges her, saying it is her turn next. But she refuses, snapping that she cannot do this. He is insanely overpowered after all. He can literally bend time and was chosen by the gods themselves to save them. He is the only one who can reverse reality before everything falls apart. Normal people are fighting for survival every single day in this ruined world. Yet he only cares about playing around. Tae just grins and shamelessly agrees. He claims she will eventually get it. Having fun is the absolute priority here. Suddenly the air grows heavy. The vibe changes completely. Tae points toward the sky, shouting about a flying beast heading their way. He wants Yuna to blast it. Instead, she tightly grips her magical staff and swings. She hurls the creature deep into the horizon with terrifying brute strength. Talk about a powerhouse. Iljin jokes that she looks like a professional baseball player. Yuna shrugs it off, admitting she practiced a bit when she was a kid. Tae grumbles about being left in the dark, but suddenly stops mid-sentence. Sensing danger, he whips around to block a massive wave of incoming energy. Out of the shadows, a mysterious man commends his ability to block such force. Especially with his bare hands, Tae stares, instantly recognizing the stranger. The man is equally intrigued to find such an elite fighter in these lands. Tae reveals his true name. He is the legendary heavenly demon, Cheon-ma. The villain demands to know how he was recognized, and Tae just grins. Yuna is confused. Yuna wonders how this creep knows him. Tae tells her to look up his webtoon. He is literally the most famous villain across the entire martial arts genre. Cheon-ma warns Tae that he talks too much before changing the subject. He asks if that massive explosion from the eastern horizon was his doing. Tae asks if he means the massive shockwave that rattled the entire peninsula. Cheon-ma nods, explaining his deep curiosity about the sheer scale of it. Over the centuries, human martial arts had grown incredibly weak and pathetic. He was losing all interest in this boring, peaceful world until now. Finally, the universe is resetting itself. The true fun is beginning. When monsters started falling from the sky, Cheon-ma was absolutely thrilled. He was enjoying a brand new level of chaotic destruction around him. But just as he was getting into it, that massive blast came rushing. Sensing extreme danger, Cheon-ma unleashed his ultimate demonic barrier to block. That absolute monster of an attack hit Tae, but he somehow deflected it. Cheon-ma stood completely amazed by the sheer scale of his opponent's power. But the real shock was yet to come. Time began moving backward. Cheon-ma witnessed the impossible, the entire world rewinding before his eyes. Restoring everything that had been shattered, this was without a doubt the work of an absolute master. Tae-In's instincts kicked in, walking on water to cross continents and seas, arriving there in person. Yunya, putting aside how he crossed the South China Sea, wonders how a Chinese master speaks Korean so well. Tae-In sighs, complaining. She was actually making sense. Cheon-ma calls out to the unknown Eastern master, declaring he would end him right now. Tae-In shouts that it looked insanely cool. Like the real heavenly demon, Cheon-ma laughs, suggesting they have some fun. The girls get the feeling Cheon-ma might regret that choice. Cheon-ma prepares his dark energy, launching a strike against Tae-In. The blast triggers a massive explosion, but Tae-In suddenly appears behind him, whispering. His attack was way too slow. Cheon-ma spins around, completely shocked. By what just happened, Tae-In admits he always wanted to do that, getting behind someone and whispering too slow in a deep voice, since he got stronger. He wanted to test Tae-In since that martial art looked so cool. Tae-In just apologizes for not understanding him. Then, he turns away, declaring he has lost interest and would rather go hunt monsters, calling it a waste of time to even come here. Iljun mocks him, saying those are just excuses. Because Tae-In's technique failed, the demon lord wonders about this country Korea, since the thought of some weakling protecting it leaves him feeling incredibly hopeless. But Tae-In calls out to the celestial demon, warning him that he just crossed a major line he might not care about much, but this is not just Korea. It is the Republic of Korea. Tae-In immediately flinches, whispering that this is impossible since he cannot even sense Tae-In's presence. In a panic, Tae-In fires another palm strike. Tae-In simply watches the dark energy rushing his way, casually blocking the entire blast with a simple stone. Still, Tae-In quickly traps him inside a prison of pure dark energy, as Yunya calls out in worry. The celestial demon boasts that this technique compresses space itself. But Tae-In easily breaks the barrier, calling the experience pretty refreshing. Tae-In is completely stunned. Tae-In grumbles that it was annoying but still looked awesome. Then Tae-In casually asks the demon lord to become his companion. Everyone is completely blindsided. Tae-In fumes, calling his art a century-old masterpiece, and yet not a single attack connected. He is the supreme master under the heavens and refuses to lose to some kid. Tae-In just smirks, questioning that grand title. While coming up with a hilarious idea, Tae-In looks at Tae-In and warns him that a normal life is no longer an option, suddenly activating his transformation skill. Iljun watches in utter confusion, wondering what Tae-In is planning to do. As a strange smoke engulfs Tae-In, the demon questions this trick, before realizing that his voice and body have suddenly transformed into a woman. Everyone is left speechless. Tae-In laughs, declaring that Tae-In is no longer the strongest man under the heavens, but rather the strongest woman. Tae-In shrieks, asking what the hell he did to her. Yunya screams that Tae-In is a massive pervert. Tae-In complains, defending his genius move, gender swapping a cool character for fun is a classic trope, but lately it has become rare. Yunya tries to argue, but Tae-In immediately tells her to shut up and stop complaining. Tae-In demands a change. She wants her normal body back. No chance. Tae-In just whacks Tae-In right on her head instead. It has been a long time since she got humbled like that, especially in her peak form. If she acts up again, he promises to hit her much harder. Yuna complains instantly, threatening a woman is a total jerk move. But Tae-In shrugs it off, thrilled to gain another team member. Tae-In is devastated. Can she really not change back? After all, she is their holy nun. Tae-In tells them to behave. He suggests hunting some nearby monsters. Easy work, right? He teleports away, loudly declaring he is off to save the world. The girls just watch in disbelief. Meanwhile, Washington is in full panic mode. Inside the White House emergency bunker, global survival is on the line. There is no time left to debate. Humanity is facing total extinction. Decisions must be made now. The president brings up the nuclear option. Should they bomb their own cities to stop the threat? The Secretary of Defense sighs heavily. Even their best weapons are useless. Biological, chemical, conventional, none of it matters. Once the gates swing open, the endless hordes will consume everything. The president slams his fist, cursing their utter helplessness. He wishes the bombs could seal it. Then, a voice interrupts. Tae-In steps in, saying he will handle the whole mess personally. He greets them as Korea's resident pervert and the savior of mankind. Complete silence. Then the guards erupt in absolute chaos. Weapons are pointed instantly, but Tae-In just calmly tells them to listen. Put your hands on your head or get blown away. The threats are loud. Tae-In just sighs. All this loud screaming is hurting his ears. He is definitely a monster, but the president yells stop. Shots are fired at Tae-In, but the security guards instantly freeze. He stops every single bullet in midair with a wave of his hand. He chuckles. Now they have no choice but to trust him. Now get this, he orders them to scrap their entire nuclear arsenal. The president protests. This is not something they can simply do. So Tae-In uses his mass manipulation. Everyone instantly falls under his control. They turn into mindless zombies. The controlled president picks up the phone. He orders NASA and all units to initiate launch code 389. Fire everything immediately. Terrified, the operators obey the command. Missiles launch into the sky, a massive volley of nuclear fire. Nobody knows the exact warhead count. It is pure devastation. Roughly 8,000 units fly, time for Tae-In to step in. He summons a colossal, invisible hand to grab the incoming weapons. He duplicates them all. Now the entire nuclear force answers only to him. He rounds up every single missile. None are left behind. He aims the massive nuclear storm straight at the portal. The weapons fly true. Tae-In smiles, celebrating an easy victory. Meanwhile in Moscow, the Supreme Council watches in absolute shock. The United States had launched its nuclear arsenal and desperately needed to strike back. But Tae-In suddenly appeared, saying it was unnecessary. The soldiers fired in his direction, but he easily blocked them again. Stunned security guards asked what had happened. Over in the United States, the secretary reported that all portals had been cleared. Tae-In appeared, announcing he had saved the world and thanking them for trusting him and launching all the bombs. The president stood completely bewildered, but Tae-In explained that those nuclear bombs had zero effect on reality while the portals simply vanished. Everyone instantly thanked the brave Korean hero, but Tae-In warned that monsters were still roaming outside, so they had to stay guard. Triggering his teleportation skill, he suddenly vanished, wishing the United States good luck. Meanwhile in Korea, Cheonma slammed a beast down with her heel. Tae-In praised her progress. The girls suddenly realized he was back, and Yuna demanded to know if he understood how close they had all come to losing their lives. Then those missiles rained down and blew up the portal, needing to know if he was behind the chaos. Tae-In calmly confirmed it, adding that Iljin was working perfectly. But right now they desperately needed someone to act as a proper tank. Suddenly, a massive blast erupted behind them. The girls shielded themselves from the choking dust. A powerful constellation materialized, declaring that the actions of Earth's own transcendent had disrupted the cosmic order. She, Eudorini of Justice, had arrived to deliver judgment in the name of righteousness. The group stood shocked, but Tae-In merely realized he had finally found his perfect tank. Cheonma whispered she felt overwhelming energy from a true master, so Tae-In told her to stay back. He quickly contacted the system, demanding answers about those divine seats, but then he remembered how the system had blocked all talk of constellations. Perhaps this might be a massive misunderstanding. He did not hate constellations, but was merely just incredibly busy dealing with the beasts invading Earth. Eudorini coldly replied that this was exactly the problem. Humanity had not suffered enough. It was all his fault. Tae-In demanded answers. Portals opened and filled with beasts, and unleashing hordes of monsters, while countless innocent people lost their lives, was entirely the doing of those arrogant constellations. Eudorini confirmed it, and the system suddenly announced that a global explanation was now being issued. Every living soul in the cosmos generates a vital energy constellations need to survive. They refer to as nentropy, so they intentionally breed them. The smarter and stronger the target species, the more energy these gods can harvest to push them even further. They design brutal trials so survivors grow stronger, ultimately yielding a far greater harvest of energy. Otherwise, they simply perish to pave the way for the rise of a superior species. But this time, Tae-In broke the tutorial rules entirely, and humanity lost its collective chance to evolve. The watching constellations simply wanted to observe the show, but since he cut their feed, massive debates had broken out. She descended to personally judge him. Tae-In shook his head. What a complete joke. Dishing out a bizarre explanation like that was totally ridiculous. The setting had suddenly warped into cheap science fiction, and Yuna sighed, wondering what he meant. Tae-In ignored her, calling out to Iljin and telling him to summarize that long-winded speech in 3 lines. The companion replied that for anyone who skipped the talking, they could start right here. Those cosmic beings drain, unleashing energy through chaotic portals until the protagonist stepped in to stop them. This only made them angry, leading Tae-In to call them completely out of their minds. While Layla steps up, refusing to forgive them, Cheonma quickly tells her to wait. He warns her that they cannot interfere yet, just as Tae-In activates his power. With his void emergence skill, he shapes the raw energy into a weapon. He builds a sword of pure space, stepping toward Eudorini with a warning. Tae-In absolutely hates dealing with constellations, so he relies on his blade. His sword class triggers, sending dozens of fast slashes her way. She raises her blade, blocking easily while Tae-In watches in total shock. His sword is supposed to erase everything, yet Eudorini deflected it effortlessly. Total failure. The constellation mocks Earth's champion, calling him a mere weakling. Our protagonist touches down, casually asking if that was really all she had. Without wasting time, he immediately triggers his massive planetary explosion ability. The blinding strike lights up Yudo Riona's face, tearing past the atmosphere. It completely disintegrates everything in his path, but she simply stands her ground. She calls the move decent, prompting Tae-In to think about using multicasting instead. To turn the tide, he needs to force a mistake and launch a counterattack. He tells the girl to push forward, eager to kick off some serious action. A sudden flash and Tae-In's hand is gone. He realizes it instantly. Yudo Rienai calmly tells him to accept her absolute judgment without any struggle. Pain surges, his hand is gone, but he immediately triggers his time reversal. He tells himself it is fine, since he can just loop back as often as needed. He rewinds, but as he steps back, he realizes something is terribly wrong. Yudo Rienai is not frozen at all, explaining that cosmic beings ignore temporal distortions. Space and time tricks simply do not work on high-ranking entities like her. Forced back to reality, Tae-In tells his allies to stay calm because she is insanely strong. He quietly wonders what kind of writer would even create such an overpowered boss. Enough games, Yudo Rienai warns that her patience has officially run out. She demands his submission, leaving Tae-In to ask what kind of judgment she means. Yudo Rienai summons a glowing object, revealing a grand scale of absolute justice. Tae-In recognizes it immediately as she explains how the scale functions. It weighs different values on each side, using universal laws to calculate the truth. Annoyed by all the talking, Tae-In gets a direct demonstration instead. She decides to weigh his positive impact against the threat he poses to order. She wants to see which side of the scale will prove heavier in the end. Tae-In asks which side is which, watching closely as the scales begin to move. The scale tips heavily toward threat, confirming that Tae-In is a massive danger. His presence breaks the universal order, and the scale of justice never lies. Since the verdict is absolute, she must suppress him right here and now. Tae-In pauses to think before a sudden, confident smile spreads across his face. He points out that the scales can judge any issue, offering a clever suggestion. Yudo Rienai agrees, noting that mortal concerns are entirely trivial to the cosmos. But before she leaves, he asks her to resolve one of humanity's biggest debates. He wants her to weigh this massive question on her infallible scale. Intrigued, the constellation accepts the challenge and demands to know what he wishes to weigh. He wanted a measure. Yunya asked what he was doing. Tae-In laughed, "Do not worry, this is actually fun." He could never resist a cosmic balancing game, debating which manhwa ruled. The 99 reinforced stick, or what can I do alone, complete confusion. The girls were baffled, even Iljin had no clue. She demanded clarification, so Tae-In repeated his ridiculous webtoon question. What were those? Tae-In sighed. How could she not know? Seriously, she should sell her brain to him if she was clueless. But Yunya scoffed. There was no way to sell a brain. Tae-In joked he could just erase his memories with some skill. Iljin told the goddess to ignore him. He was too obsessed. Still, Yudo Rienai was lost. Tae-In explained they were humanity's greatest invention. The grand constellation coldly replied that they do not judge trivial emotions. Tae-In fired back. For a goddess, she knew nothing of life. She lived in this world, yet failed to see nothing matters more than fun. Fine, he would dumb it down to her cosmic level for a second. Why the sudden mood shift? Yudo Rienai tensed up immediately. He reminded her that she was the grand goddess of justice. She confirmed it, warning that breaking order would cause absolute chaos. So Tae-In called her out on her own logic, hypocrisy. She was merely sacrificing him for consequences she could not even predict. She stood completely frozen. She was speechless. He knew her next argument, small sacrifices for the greater good. But looking at this from a cosmic view was entirely biased. Her scales of judgment were completely rigged from the start. It might seem fair to a god, but to humans, it was total injustice. Yudo Rienai asked if he truly believed he was more important than everything. He nodded. That was exactly why he questioned her scales. Forcing him to sacrifice his life was just a matter of perspective. So he told her to think about it, time to choose. Suddenly, two heavy weights materialized. The scales began to tip heavily downward. It tipped toward injustice. What just happened? Yunya gasped. Tae-In smiled. The result was incredibly obvious from the start. She was completely stunned. Tae-In asked if she still planned to restrict him. Was he really a cosmic threat? She had no answer. Uduri admitted he was right, acknowledging the unfairness. Layla praised his brilliance. Yunya confessed she still had absolutely no idea what was happening. Tae-In explained it simply: justice changes depending on your viewpoint. Then he offered a smooth suggestion to the goddess of justice. If she feared breaking the balance, she had one choice. Why not stay by his side and keep a close eye on him? He never wanted to disrupt the order, only to protect humans from attacks. Helping the weak was her duty anyway. Uduri found this logical. Agreeing with his smart point, she promised to remain by his side. Kayanma watched in disbelief. He had literally just tamed a god. Turning a god into an ally with pure charisma. Still, Tae-In has one more thing to settle. He asks if she honestly thinks it was fair for the constellations to open those portals on Earth and slaughter humanity. Uduri freezes in place. She stares down before conjuring two spheres, weighing them against each other. On a scale, the human side sinks, proving they are right. Uduri stays quiet, she just sighs, which immediately annoys him. Suddenly, she flies straight up, heading out of the planet. Then, she unleashes her magic. To clear the massive invasion, across the globe, monsters are hunting down humans. But they suddenly freeze. The survivors turn around in shock. The beast simply vanishes, dissolving along with every other monster on Earth. Uduri completes her massive purification spell. Down below, Layla spots a brilliant flash that completely blinds everyone. Chanma notes that all the dark demonic energy has vanished instantly. Tae-In smiles, exactly what you expect from a constellation, and honestly, this is easily one of the coolest scenes yet. Uduri complains about being manipulated, but he just brushes it off. Besides, saving the planet was only part of his master plan. The best part is he just recruited an absolute powerhouse to his team. As Uduri changes her clothes, everyone blushes at her revealing outfit. Tae-In asks what she is doing. She calmly explains she's just taking off her combat armor. He tells her to cover up. Immediately, he casts transformation magic to make a casual outfit, quietly noting how stunning she looks. Uduri complains about wearing clothes with 0 defense stats and immediately starts stripping again. Tae-In frantically tells her to keep her clothes on and stay dressed. She complains that humans make absolutely 0 sense. Right then, the system pops up, calling Tae-In a pervert because the other gods are furious. They are screaming that the constellation of justice has been corrupted. Tae-In scoffs, saying they should be mad because he is coming to crush them next, but the system interrupts before that. The Tower Master wants a personal meeting first. Uduri mentions there are dark rumors about this master starting this whole mess by giving insane powers to terrible people. Suddenly, the system announces it will now escort him to the dimension of eternal night. Tae-In fires back that he has a few things to say to them. He starts warping, telling the system to wait. He just got a solid squad together, and he is not leaving them. Chanma sighs, they were basically kidnapped anyway. Layla asks where they are heading, while Tae-In blames the system for starting the warp on its own. Privately, he tells the system to speed up the teleportation. A blinding flash of light hits the entire team, making them completely vanish. They fly through a tunnel of pure energy. Reaching a dark castle, Yun groans, asking where they are. While Iljin complains of dizziness, Tae-In figures this is the peak of the tower. Suddenly, a cold voice welcomes the constellation of justice, calling it an honor to host her in this rundown place. He introduces himself as Sugashi Nujo, the legendary Tower Master. He smiles, saying it has been a long time since he has seen anyone drop by, and his eyes quickly drift to the uninvited guests. He questions how mere insects like them dare to step into his sacred territory. Promising to crush their bones and end their lives, an oppressive energy explodes from his body, paralyzing the group with pure dread. Ah cries out for her mother, while Iljin mutters about just wanting a hamburger before she dies. But Tae-In actually smiles, noting this is their very first boss battle. As a fully formed team, to him this is just a regular video game fight, so he grins and says it looks like a lot of fun. Layla asks if he is seriously planning to take that monster on, while Yun begs to go home. Tae-In tells them not to sweat it because teamwork guarantees their victory. But then Sugashi grabs him by the neck, demanding to know how he dared to step onto the tower summit without even climbing the lower floors first. Tae-In wonders if this guy is just asking for another beating. Instantly, Sugashi slams him into the floor. Furious at how much the boy has insulted his pride, he plans to beat some sense into him, listing off his arrogance, his ignorance, and his sheer selfishness. He calls him vulgar, irresponsible, and completely reckless. Tae-In just sighs, wondering how much longer this old man is going to keep whining. Sugashi snaps that above all, the brat only cares about himself, blasting him with pure magical force. Tae-In actually groans as the shockwave impacts his body, taking actual damage. Sugashi declares he will make him pay for all the training years he skipped. The girls on the team watch in absolute horror. Meanwhile, the tower master mockingly apologizes to the rest of them because they are about to die alongside their leader, but Cheon-ma steps up, warning that he is the one going straight to hell. She teleports directly behind the tower master, unleashing her celestial demon destruction seal. The strike connects heavily, but Sugashi shrugs it off, calling it completely unfair. Blowing her back, he admits she did well considering she is not a transcendent being. But unfortunately for her, she can blame the idiot who brought her to her grave. Then he addresses Yudoranai, apologizing that she had to witness such a pathetic sight. But the constellation fires back, pointing out this is no way to treat a human who successfully cleared the tower within the rules. Sugashi simply scoffs, reminding her that he serves the higher stars. Because of that, everyone, including the constellation of Wrath, wants this anomaly erased, and he is just doing his job. Tae-In notes the name Wrath. Yudoranai admits the Tower Master makes a pretty fair point in this exact moment. Almost everyone on the squad is convinced that today is their funeral. But Tae-In calmly tells them that nobody is dying today. With a sudden flex, he snaps right out of Sugashi's grip. The Tower Master gasps, unable to comprehend how a mere mortal could possibly escape his absolute authority. Tae-In simply mocks him right back, calling him the ignorant and arrogant one here. In any good action story, the hero always counterattacks after taking a few hits. With that, he channels his divine power directly into Cheon-ma. She asks what this is, and Tae-In tells her to remember this exact feeling. That sensation of standing right on the edge of death, that is the proof that he is guaranteed to win. Yudoranai watches in total disbelief, finding it hard to believe a simple human can match the Tower Master. So effortlessly, Sugashi slowly grits his teeth, admitting he severely underestimated the boy. Tae-In knew his companions would die if he did nothing, so he acted. He shielded them, parrying the enemy attack effortlessly while delivering a warning. Targeting his allies first was a cheap move, leaving Sugashi totally speechless. How was Tae-In suddenly 10,000 times more powerful than before? Tae-In grinned, finally getting to drop his ultimate, completely overpowered anime flex. He actually only used 1/1,000,000th of his true power. That was merely against the monster banging on the school window. After awakening, he got way too excited and sealed his own massive strength. Suddenly, the system fully released his limit to 100%. Iljan thought he could launch continents, but felt weak fighting Yudoranai. Tae-In apologized, admitting this boss was slightly tougher than he initially expected. Because of that, he could not save their screen time. He struck. He impaled Sugashi twice. The master gasped in complete disbelief. Tae-In warned his selfish reign ended today. Desperate, the master screamed to Yudoranai that this was wrong. Her magic belonged to him, so she could never surpass his authority. Begging pathetically for his life, Tae-In just slammed a fist into him. Tae-In scolded him for being a coward who ran from his mess. Admitting that out loud made him feel annoying, while Sugashi shrieked. Sugashi warned that his death would let total chaos swallow the tower. The universal order would break, but Tae-In just cut him down. Slicing him in half, Tae-In sighed at how incredibly annoying he was. The crumbling villain swore Tae-In would regret this, but he ignored it. He was just happy to defeat a ridiculously strong cosmic boss. Yudoranai was utterly stunned by how fast he dismantled a god. Tae-In apologized to his friends, thinking they must have been terrified. They yelled at him for being reckless with their actual lives. He pleaded with them, whining that he never actually finished his speech. Getting interrupted like that would haunt him, leaving the girls sighing. They called him a selfish jerk, but Tae-In checked his system. A new prompt confirmed his rewards for defeating the entity were ready. Now he could finally ascend, getting a massive new power upgrade. Get ready because this next stage is going to be wild. Yudoranai seriously questioned if he understood the gravity of his actions. By killing the master, he made enemies of every single constellation. Tae-In simply asked if he was supposed to let Sugashi kill him. When she agreed, Tae-In dismissed the threat of all those constellations. He did not care about them as long as she was by his side. She flusteredly asked since when they were allies, but Tae-In smoothly pivoted. He wanted to hunt down the constellation of Wrath Sugashi mentioned. Yudu Rienai nervously asked if he wanted to fight another god. But he shook his head, saying he just wanted a peaceful chat. She let out a massive sigh of relief, figuring that a simple, friendly conversation would be completely safe. Yuna thought he was a fool, while Iljin proudly claimed him as her savior. He had zero doubt Tae-In would protect the universe with his ally. Justice has to win. Now a strange light hits the group once more. It teleports them out of the tower, but something goes wrong. Tae-In and Yudina end up in an entirely different dimension. Confused, Tae-In asks where they are, and Yudina recognizes the room. She warns him this is the chamber of Hujakaruna. The girls sweat under the heavy heat, realizing they are inside a massive volcano. Yuna snaps and asks why Tae-In keeps bringing them along. He smoothly replies that they give him strength, but they roll their eyes. They tell him to stop flirting, though Layla actually believes his cheesy words. Suddenly, a manic laugh echoes. Hujakaruna makes a dramatic entrance. His pressure is insane, forcing Yudina to quickly summon her armor back. The angry constellation mocks them, calling them mere insects in his domain. He slams down, triggering a massive shockwave that shatters the ground. He attacks Yudina directly, calling her an insolent fool as she barely blocks. She struggles, calling out his name, but he just laughs at her. But his mockery is cut short as a heavy fist slams into his face. Tae-In warns him not to touch his friends, shocking the entire group. Yudina can barely believe her eyes, wondering what is wrong with him. He tells her not to worry about thanking him, since he was just protecting her. She warns him that the god has absolutely no control over his explosive rage. He is a monster born with a constant, dangerous urge to destroy everything. In a flashback, we see Hujakaruna arriving at a beautiful target planet. The gorgeous scenery temporarily wins his admiration as he looks around. But then, a sudden, irrational anger begins to boil up inside his soul. Furious for not discovering it sooner, he punches the ground with insane power. The entire world instantly shatters from one side to the other. He complains about his temper, leaving Tae-In completely speechless at the story. Our hero calls him a total fool, making the god absolutely furious. He demands to know how an insect dares to strike him as the lava rises. Yudina warns they are in trouble because this dimension is bound to him. If his anger erupts, the entire volcanic crater will explode along with him. The wrathful lava incinerates everything it touches, but Tae-In remains calm. He simply asks if they just need to stop the lava from rising up. To do that, he decides to freeze the angry god completely. Tae-In unleashes his absolute zero magic, completely encasing Hujakaruna in ice. But the god easily shatters it, proving they cannot stop pure wrath. Tae-In ignores her warnings and tells them to stop the long explanations. He rushes forward and clashes fists directly with the massive god. This constellation is far stronger than the tower master he fought before. Hujakaruna smiles at the chill, but his anger still burns. Tae-In is confused by his reaction, but his system suddenly reacts. It automatically activates the empathy skill, linking their minds together. The two minds quickly connect, leaving the god deeply startled. Yudina screams for him to stop connecting with those dangerous emotions. But Tae-In tries to use the link to calm the god's rage from within. Hujakaruna says he is feeling weird things in his mind, something brand new. It feels good, but Yud Rienai warns that Tae-In will be completely consumed by this rage. Yuna asks what is wrong with him, as Tae-In suddenly breaks completely free. Tae-In admits this feels wrong, apologizing for blocking Hujakaruna and hitting him. He just wants a peaceful talk, and honestly, can you blame him? Instead, Hujakaruna launches a massive fist straight toward Tae-In's face. He mocks Tae-In for talking too much for a failure, leaving Tae-In utterly confused. Grabbing Tae-In by the neck, he says his entropy value is just far too low. That is why he had to annihilate and reset him, but Yud Rienai steps in. She holds Hujakaruna, asking if the portal was meant to exterminate humanity, not test them. Hujakaruna confirms it, but Tae-In just sighs and calls this whole thing incredibly annoying. He tells them to stop explaining, because it is way too much for the readers. With that, Tae-In activates Stage 1 of Ascension, catching Hujakaruna completely off guard. Tae-In blasts him back with the Planet Buster skill, claiming this is absolutely nothing. He is the protagonist, the star of the greatest webtoon of all time. Hyuga Karuna flies through the air, shocked that a mere insect can rival his power. Especially since he has surpassed 10 stars, while Tae-In quietly looks into a mirror. His hair and eyes have completely transformed, marking the arrival of the first purple stage. Charging back toward the planet, Hyuga Karuna roars like a massive falling meteor. He screams that he will take Tae-In's life today, but Tae-In just complains again. Annoyed by the loud screaming, Tae-In buries his fist straight into Hyuga Karuna. Tae-In tells him to cut it out, but Hyuga Karuna desperately blocks the blow. He cannot believe his ultimate power achieved nothing as Tae-In relentlessly presses forward again. Tae-In repeatedly demands he stop shouting, while absolutely tearing his body apart. Fall quietly, this was supposed to be fun anyway. With a massive swing, Tae-In tosses him away like a piece of useless trash. Hyuga Karuna loses consciousness, crashing heavily onto the ground right beside the team. Yud Rienai cannot believe a powerful constellation was just defeated by a mere human. A cosmic collapse, but Hyuga Karuna just rises with a mad laugh. He calls this fun and wishes he played along sooner, making Tae-In suspect something. Is this phase 2? A villain laughing is never a good sign. Hyuga Karuna sneers that all of Tae-In's friends already look completely lifeless. Tae-In snaps at him to shut up, turning around only to find the girls. They are collapsed on the ground, overwhelmed by the intense heat radiating from the enemy. Yud Rienai explains his rage boosts the heat, making him stronger with every second. Hyuga Karuna mocks justice, asking why anyone would protect insects destined for extinction. Deflecting the burning aura, Tae-In tells him he is just spouting complete nonsense. But Hyuga Karuna warns that humanity is doomed and his plans are already set. His deadly rage virus is about to spread across the entire face of the planet. Tae-In demands to know what he means, but Hyuga Karuna only laughs. He promises that every living soul on Earth will soon be horribly infected. They will tear each other apart until nothing is left, making Tae-In snap. He screams the villain's name in pure rage as Yud Rienai warns the volcano is erupting. They need to move, teleportation magic is their only hope. But Tae-In ignores her, charging up his fist for one final devastating strike. He had no time left, the teleportation light was already pulling him up. The volcano erupted as Tae cursed Hyuga Karuna on the way. Tae warned the others that they had to reach Earth to stop the rabies virus. Udu Rienai replied that she was already heading directly there. To Tae, this trial felt less like a test and more like slaughter. He questioned if there was any true justice in this world. A sudden flash pierced the sky as they materialized back on Earth. He healed them immediately, asking if they were okay while drowning in deep regret. He felt entirely responsible, right until a crazed human lunged at him. Tae easily dodged the sudden bite, completely stunned by what was happening. 100 mindless zombies slowly closed in on them. This was his first trial from the constellation of Wrath. He reflected on how humans are defined by their curiosity. Biologically, they are nothing more than highly intelligent primates. They use complex language and master tools to survive. They build intricate societies to connect and cooperate with one another. But if they lose their minds and society completely crumbles, they stop being human altogether and become nothing more than mindless monsters. The terrifying truth was clear: this rabies virus had stolen their humanity. The girls stared in confusion as a pack of beasts suddenly rushed Yunya. Tae threw himself in front of her, refusing to let them touch her. He unleashed his lightning magic, sending crackling high-voltage currents through the horde. The shocked zombies writhed in pain as Tae grinned, calling it basic pest control. He claimed this would snap them out of it, then turned to Yunya. But she was furious, demanding to know if he thought this nightmare was a game. Before Tae could make another excuse, she cut him off with a harsh blow. Her hand slapped across his cheek, leaving him stunned and nursing his bruised pride. She screamed, asking if he knew how many times they had nearly died beside him. He tried to explain that he only wanted to keep her safe, but she scoffed. She cried out that he never should have dragged them into this hell. They were burning in agony earlier, terrified they would die without seeing family again. She could not bear the thought of such a pathetic, lonely end. She asked if he even understood that terror, or if he just did not care. If this was all just a game to him, he could go to hell alone. She felt like a mere prop, used to show off his godlike powers. If he could resolve everything by himself, why even drag them along? Is this what companions meant to him, tools to be discarded without thought? Tae muttered that this was just how these apocalyptic scenarios worked. Yunya screamed at his cold logic, completely unable to comprehend his detachment. If they are only infected by a virus, then they can still be saved. She begged him to save them all, leaving Tae in stunned silence. He finally spoke, asking if she truly believed he was that heartless. He had only paralyzed them with his electricity, knowing a cure was possible. But Tae hesitated, not wanting to play the hero the exact same way. He was tired of repeating the same predictable patterns over and over. Another enemy suddenly appears. The girls stare in absolute confusion. Tae-In bickers with Yuna, stubbornly refusing to move another step forward. She warns him of a zombie sneaking up behind him. Tae-In spins. The creature bites him. Annoyed, he uses magic to suspend the monster in midair. He scoffs at his own fear, while Yuna watches in total dread, wondering. She fears he will turn, but Tae-In tells her there is nothing to worry about. He claims it is just a minor virus, unleashing his healing magic. The wound stays open, nothing happens, no regeneration at all. Panicking, he invokes a sacred seraphim's blessing. Still, absolutely nothing happens. Yudorina sighs, no choice here, if this virus holds cosmic power. She cannot intervene, he must sever his arm before it is too late. Tae-In snaps back, demanding to know what she is talking about. He is already feeling the rage. Panicked, Yudorina draws her sword. Don't do it, Tae-In begs. This was supposed to be his story. This makes absolutely no sense. He is simply too powerful for this. It feels like a cheap, forced nerf from the author to balance things. Suddenly he roars. Pure fury explodes as he calls the undead. The surrounding zombie horde swarms to his roar. Yudorina watches, horrified. But Cheon-ma steps in, begging her not to kill him. We must save him first, she pleads, and Iljin quickly agrees with her. Layla warns that the monsters are rapidly closing in on them. Yudorina demands Cheon-ma step aside to protect the cosmic balance. Cheon-ma prepares to fight, but Yuna screams to run. They must reach safety before their resident pervert mutates into something far worse. Iljin panics, asking how they can escape this massive horde. Yuna promises they will be fine, pleading with Yudorina to teleport them to safety. The undead keep closing in, snarling and snapping their jaws as they approach. Somehow they retreat to a school, where Yudorina binds Tae-In. Using her ethereal prison, she locks him down securely in a chair. Layla looks on with pity, whispering about their grim options. If they defeat Hua Karuna, maybe the virus disappears from him. But Yudorina shakes her head, explaining they have cosmic protection. Constellations cannot simply die, though a method of total annihilation exists. Cheon-ma ignores the explanation, studying Tae-In's shaking, delirious state. I can cure him with acupuncture, she declares, striking his vitals. Tae-In coughs up a massive geyser of dark blood, total disaster. Cheon-ma freezes. Iljin sighs, noting he looks absolutely terrible. Yudorina scoffs, asking if they expected simple human tricks to work. Surprisingly, Tae-In gasps, claiming he feels alive as blood rushes to his brain. Yudorina is utterly shocked by this miraculous recovery, allowing Cheon-ma to smugly boast. Layla begs him to stay focused, but Tae-In warns her he has no time. He will lose his mind again, questioning why authors make such useless protagonists. Stripped of his broken abilities, he tries to understand the writer's goal. Analyzing the author's metaplot, a sudden realization hits him. The author's plan is finally clear, prompting him to shout a dire warning. Right before dying, in a webtoon, a hero screamed for them to run. An escape, she sobbed, begging him not to leave. But he pointed to his wound. She was wrong. He was bitten, apologizing. He told her to stay safe. She denied it. The chapter ended. Tae sobbed. Obvious sacrifice, yet tears still welled up anyway. Leaving a 10-star rating, he praised the protagonist's selfless, heroic spirit. True sacrifice. With a sigh, he kept eating. Back in reality, Tae believed he could act just like those heroic leads. Before fully transforming, he swore to sacrifice his life for them. The girls stared in shock, but Tae kept explaining. It was a perfect end, but Layla interrupted. Why die? You are surrounded by god-tier allies. Tae tried to speak, but Yunya cut him off. Stop playing the hero. We are not helpless fools who need saving. We can handle ourselves. Hearing this, Tae paused. It was not a proper plot development, yet it made complete sense. They were strong, the zombies were actually no threat. And with everyone infected, finding new survivors held absolutely no thrill. If they just wanted to defeat zombies, they could easily end it. He had to focus before completely losing his mind. Suddenly, Layla complained of hunger. Cheon-ma agreed she was starving. Yunya was empty too. Naturally, everyone turned to Iljan. The mascot panicked. "Don't look at me like that." Cheon-ma ordered him to sacrifice himself. He pleaded, "Please don't come closer. Wait a second, follow me." Cheon-ma agreed to listen. Then, Iljan pointed over. "Look, there were hamburgers for everyone." Yunya hesitated. Cheon-ma told her to just eat, but Yunya noticed a weird detail. The burger was only halfway out. Layla asked if this was wrong. "Will Iljan mind if we eat his friends?" The mascot quickly said no. "They are not my friends," he replied, so they dug in. To girls raised in ancient and medieval times, this tasted incredible. Corporate-engineered flavors were simply too addictive to resist. Back inside, Yudorna asked Tae how he felt. He thanked her. She shook her head. "You shouldn't have gone to see Huja Karuna. If you did, you would have suffered a truly painful death." Tae wondered what to do. The cosmic constellation promised help. She refused to let him suffer. The system was unfair. She wanted to correct it. Hearing her comfort, Tae thanked her. Yudorna promised she could endure a bit longer. They needed a plan. But he had strong companions. Together, they would resolve this mess. Just then, the girls walked in, talking about how delicious the burgers were. They joked they would be better hot. Suddenly, the room fell silent. Tae-In gets completely furious, shouting about how frustrating everything is. Suddenly, Yudorna. She pins him down, warning they will lose their sanity again. The pressure is building. Cheon-ma sees no hope, but she desperately needs this guy. He is the absolute key to reclaiming her original form after trapping her inside this awkward body. Warped and weakened, she can barely control her own raging energy flow. Suddenly, she freezes. She notices a strange presence far away. A pure, completely untainted life force is radiating from a quiet house in the distance. Someone untouched by the virus, but Yudorna calls it impossible. Every living thing has been infected by the rage virus, and her tracking never fails. Walking to the window, Cheon-ma argues that her companion is dead wrong. A perfect human is approaching, just 2 kilometers away and heading right here. If you listen very closely, you can even hear her breathing. She senses it. What is this presence? Layla can barely believe it. Are there actual survivors out there? Yun points out that the infected are technically alive too, but Yudorna warns it is getting closer. Whatever it is getting dangerously close, and Layla fears that person is in serious trouble. Tae completely loses control as his rage erupts again. The constellation struggles to hold him back, warning of his incredible power. At this rate, that complete pervert is going to destroy the entire Earth all by himself. She has to stay behind to restrain him. The girls must handle this. Cheon-ma immediately leaps out the window, cradling Iljan in her arms. Layla screams, but Cheon-ma is already gone, with Yun wondering if they should follow. Is it really safe for them to handle this alone? Cheon-ma vanishes into the sky. Sprinting across the rooftops, Iljan asks why she is dragging him along. She tells him that he understands this broken world and its guiding light. Besides, they need him. Cheon-ma drops down in front of a quiet suburban house. A calm energy waits above. Iljan is skeptical. He is not worried about zombies with Cheon-ma around, but wonders about the door. Will they even open up in a broken world? Plus, this isn't the main entrance. Cheon-ma moves forward, admitting she has no idea which floor. She simply slips right through a window, leaving Iljan completely and utterly baffled. Scanning the silent house, she wonders if anyone is even alive inside. From behind the door, she hears the calm breathing of someone completely uninfected. She quietly slides the door open and freezes in absolute disbelief. Iljan is stunned. The entire room is covered in colorful webtoon posters. Are these cult talismans? Cheon-ma wonders, but Iljan quickly corrects her. They definitely look weird enough to be talismans until the bed suddenly stirs. Readying her cultivator energy, Cheon-ma is stopped as Iljan begs her to wait. A sleepy girl slowly crawls out of bed. Instantly, Iljan falls head over heels. He is instantly lovesick. Cheon-ma immediately slams him to the floor. She calls him pathetic, but the girl is just staring at them in shock. A talking hamburger and a celestial spirit girl are standing in her room. This only happens in comics, leaving them wondering if she is just like Tae. This is like a webtoon scene, she mutters. Cheon-ma is utterly and completely lost. Are they all crazy here? Iljun quickly shakes his head in denial. She squeals in delight, an anime girl lecturing a talking burger right there. She introduces herself as Lyra, prompting Iljun to ask why she skipped school. Cheon-ma asks if they know each other, but a classmate says she was quite famous back then with a legendary nickname. Meanwhile, the teacher hands out the exam papers, telling the class president to hand Nara her test since she was sleeping. The class president wondered about this, feeling completely surprised. Because she had never seen Nara awake, yet she still scored perfectly on every test. Iljun always teased that Nara was easily their most legendary sleeper, while she openly admitted to sleeping away every single class. She then mentioned that today was actually the school anniversary, which Iljun explained was why the halls were completely empty. Cheon-ma wondered if Nara slept through the gates opening and monsters pouring out. Nara admitted everything felt just like a strange dream, filled with bizarre hunter stories and portals. Cheon-ma suddenly grabbed her arm, warning that they had to leave right now, though Nara begged to be released. The powerful cultivator then noted that Nara shared a striking resemblance to Tae-In. They quickly soared toward the school, completely unaware of a mysterious figure watching them from afar, calling it interesting. Yunya peered outside, noting their arrival. Cheon-ma landed at the school, announcing that she had finally brought Nara along. While explaining their desperate situation, Nara admitted her heart was absolutely racing, though she couldn't help noticing all the gorgeous faces around the classroom. Yunya recognized Nara instantly, who politely offered a warm greeting. Lyra sighed heavily, noting that the condition of Tae-In was rapidly deteriorating. Uterine insisted they could still stop him, but ending his life might be their only remaining option. Nara immediately recognized the bound boy, while Iljun questioned if she also knew that total pervert. Nara admitted Tae-In likely didn't remember her, but they were childhood friends, and he even introduced her to Mano. Nara felt like she was dreaming seeing Tae-In there, prompting Uterine to ask how Nara remained entirely unaffected by the rage virus. Nara replied, as the constellation of justice she heard about on their way. Nara figured it was simply because she owned this entire dream. Yunya thought Nara seemed deeply confused, but Nara explained that in this dream she could only focus on her crush. It was a fantasy world created solely for the two of them. But Tae-In lost all reason, transforming into an unstoppable, bloodthirsty berserker. With everyone completely helpless, Nara suddenly stepped forward, leaving Yunya utterly perplexed. Nara wrapped her arms around Tae-In, begging her love to finally stop. She urged him to remember her, but Uterine warned Nara to stay back. Tae-In was dangerous, yet Nara suddenly struck her own eyes. Crying, she begged him to forget all the pain, because everything would be all right now. Her tears streamed down heavily, landing directly onto his face. A single teardrop touched the forehead of Tae-In, instantly purifying the corrupting rage virus. Cheon-ma stared in absolute disbelief, while Iljun realized this scene looked familiar, wanting to know where he had seen it before, while Uterine thought this should be impossible, yet deep affection from Nara began regenerating. The fading protagonist, Tae-In, finally opened his eyes, feeling completely lost. This was the secret to saving him, a true, heartfelt embrace. In tears of a childhood friend, yet Tae-In only asked who she was. Nara got totally embarrassed and introduced herself, while Tae-In finally recognized her as that girl who always sleeps in class, while Cheon-ma noticed Leia, losing her mind with anger. Meanwhile, Uterini explained that Nara actually cured him. Tae-In couldn't believe this random girl, who wasn't even a constellation, suddenly appeared and fixed everything. He'd heard stories about childhood friends sharing tears and hugs, and figured it must be some next-level bond keeping her in the role of a girl in love. Meanwhile, everyone else was just glad he was back. Either way, the main character thanked her, though her outfit looked a bit too strange. So he told her to put on a shirt. Nara kept telling herself this was a dream, but she still couldn't look him in the eye. That's when Tae-In added her to the party as a support. They seriously needed a genius like her on their side, and she was likely the secret to beating Hyuga Karuna's tutorial. Yueni realized that a mere human was canceling out a constellation's power, which made her seem way more dangerous than the pervert. Tae-In knew there was only one path left. They had to take down that bastard. Nara mumbled that this dream felt incredibly realistic. Yunya quickly snapped back, explaining this was real and the planet's actual survival Rested on their shoulders, Nara nodded in understanding. Tae-In announced they needed to head back to Hyuga Karuna's place immediately, but Yudorini warned that going like this would only end in another disaster. Tae-In paused, wondering what their next move should be since Hyuga Karuna was way too powerful to fight directly. Nara chimed in, demanding they explain what on earth was actually going on. The main character stared at Nara, knowing she was easily the smartest person he had ever met. He promised to explain everything so they could plan their next move. Now get ready because far across the city, a strange light suddenly struck Hyuga Karuna's home. The powerful entity burst out laughing, calling it highly irritating that Tae-In had returned voluntarily. He mocked them, asking why their group got bigger. Tae-In smirked and thanked him, saying he'd put up with his annoyance long enough. Hyuga Karuna snapped at that, marching forward while growing visibly angrier. Tae-In warning that he was losing his patience. His fist rushed toward the protagonist, but he only smiled as a massive explosion ripped through the domain. Instantly, the girls cast a barrier to block the shockwave. Hyuga Karuna gasped in surprise, realizing his fist hadn't even touched Tae-In's face. It was all thanks to Yudorini using her protection of justice skill. Tae-In goaded him, suggesting they turn up the heat. This absolutely infuriated Hyuga Karuna. He demanded to know what the hell Yudorini was thinking, siding with mere insects to take down an actual constellation like him, but Yudorini calmly replied that he had it all wrong, explaining she only came to protect him. Offended by this absurd claim, the furious entity struck. Once again, Tae-In confidently declared that, with Yudorina's absolute defense backing him up, he could easily stand on equal ground with a god. Hyuga Karuna just laughed in amusement. Suddenly, his ancient necklace began to glow brightly as his energy surged. Oh man, Tae-In realized this was the exact trigger for Hyuga Karuna's second phase that they had struggled with before. The entity asked if this arrogant human actually believed he could match a god. He truly should have known better than to challenge cosmic forces. With a roar, Hyuga Karuna threw a devastating punch that shattered their ultimate defense. Their world instantly began peaceful 1 second, then a massive explosion blasts Tae-In back, hurting Yudorina. Nurse her injuries, Yudorina cries out while Hyuga Karuna sighs. How did he do it? Yudorina demands to know how she lost her authority. Hyuga Karuna simply scoffed. He claims he has not gotten any stronger at all. He sneers, calling them all insects. Would they believe he was actually holding back? All his life, rage consumed him. He could never keep anything for himself. Everything he ever touched got shattered by his own wrath. And the absolute worst part, his own uncontrollable rage angered him the most. He desperately wanted self-control, which is why he locked that hatred away. Behold the amulet of rage, but now, it is finally time to let go. He releases everything, unleashing his energy as far as the eye can see. That raw power instantly materializes into terrifying, monstrous beasts. Hyuga Karuna crouches down and orders his new creatures to slaughter Tae-In. Trusting his friends, Tae-In prepares himself and releases Stage 1 Ascension. He summons hundreds of copies. Why hold back when everything is on the line? Hyuga Karuna laughs. He tells that pathetic insect to do whatever he wants. It makes no difference. Today, Tae-In will be completely erased from existence. Yudorina slashes clean through a beast, but the foul monster instantly heals. 2 new heads sprout from the wound. This is a nightmare. Battle is endless. Nara warns that their entire plan is ruined. Yudorina casts her glow magic. Nara insists they must save Tae-In right now. But the constellation of justice steps in. She is ready to fight. Someone has to protect them. She must buy them some precious time. She blames herself entirely for not warning them about this threat sooner. Determined to fix this, she charges straight ahead into the fray. She strikes the lava snake, pouring every ounce of strength into the blow. Suddenly, she gets caught in its giant jaws. The serpent's bite is absolutely brutal. But Chayama unleashes her celestial demon seal to obliterate the beast. Do not call me that name, she warns them to drop the title. Yudorina looks back in shock. This enemy is no ordinary monster. It is a wrathful obsidian serpent, born from pure dark constellation power. Leleleia steps forward. With Tae-In sharing his power, they can win. With Yudorina's blessing on their side, they actually have a fighting chance. These life forms possess an intense will to live. Their enemy was wrong. Humanity is far nobler than any creature he could ever bring forth. Hyuga Karuna punches Tae-In hard. He screams that there is no hiding. Massive explosion vaporizes every single clone on the battlefield. Tae-In kept his real body far away, but he realizes the danger. Sensing the immediate threat, he quickly activates his exclusion ability. Karuna grabs a clone by the neck, sneering at his weakness. He demands to know why Tae-In is not fighting back at all. Tae-In simply smiles, replying that he has no interest in fighting him. Confused, Karuna demands answers, but the protagonist remains completely calm. Constellations do not truly die, which means this battle could go on forever. So instead of trying to win, he plans to make Karuna his companion. At school, Yudo Rienai agrees the idea makes sense, while Linara calls it a pretty solid plan, but Keianma doubts if their leaders could ever ally with a massive cosmic entity, though Iljan points out Yudo Rienai is basically one too. Then Yun asks what Tae-In thinks of this whole setup. Tae-In rejects it, flat out. When asked why, Tae-In explains that teaming up with Karuna feels totally wrong. Adding another wildcard to the mix is chaos, pure chaos. He meta-jokes that readers want to fight. Naturally, the girls are completely lost. The girls have no clue what he means, but Keianma agrees with him. She hates the plan because this monster actively wants to wipe out all of humanity. She wants to end his life with her own two hands. But Yudo Rienai warns her that humans can never truly kill a constellation. Layla asks if Yudo Rienai will fight instead, but she quickly declines. Cosmic battles are strictly forbidden, but there is a loophole. If they can recruit Karuna, they get to borrow his insane strength. Tae-In still strongly protests the move, but Nar tells him to speak up if he has a better idea. Tae-In goes quiet, desperately trying to find an alternative. Finding nothing, he admits he has no choice and asks Yudo Rienai to tell him everything about Karuna. Back in the present, Tae-In confronts him. He demands an alliance, mentioning he knows Karuna was born special. But instead of talking, Karuna strikes, a brutal punch to the face. Tae-In quickly activates his Mirage Advance skill, trying to dodge the brutal assault. He remembers how Karuna grew deeply envious of the surrounding stars. Back then, everyone praised the beast as the brightest newborn star around. A rising star, destined to reach constellation status incredibly fast. But get this, his terrible attitude ruined it. He snarls, demanding who Tae-In is. The other stars completely shunned him, calling him vulgar and impossible to tolerate. His constant troublemaking isolated him, fueling a deep, burning resentment inside. He spent eons in solitude until a mysterious figure named Seek finally approached. Seek praised his stubborn consistency, offering him a dark, powerful new destiny. He appointed him as the constellation of Wrath to enforce cosmic order. For the first time ever, Karuna felt seen. Yet now he screams in anger, claiming this realization only brings him misery. It absolutely sickens him, but back then, he silently accepted his grim duty. Karuna curses loudly, a harsh strike. Tae-In is just an insect. He hates that this human acts like he understands his eternal pain. Tae-In urges him to unleash all that bottled-up fury directly onto him. He promises he is an ally who will never run away. The beast hesitates. Tae-In silently prays his desperate, risky gamble actually works. His body is at its absolute limit. Karuna mutters that Tae-In is the very first to ever say that. He calls him a pathetic, intriguing insect. A dangerous test. Tae-In senses the immediate, terrifying threat of death. But watch closely. He spots something crucial in the pattern of the incoming attack. Karuna unleashes his devastating hell explosion. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Layla drives her dagger deep into the multi-headed serpent, gasping heavily for air. The entire group watches in sheer exhaustion as the massive beast finally falls. Unleashing rage felt incredible. Karuna found the fury deeply refreshing. Tae-In says no thanks are needed. Karuna is shocked he survived. God wonders how the boy survived, with absolutely no cards left. Tae-In simply chuckles. To him, this is classic protagonist plot armor. Then Tae-In claims he is fine, insisting the god is good deep down. Karuna scoffs. Tae-In speaks as if he knew everything from the start. Tae-In calmly explains, the constellation spread the virus to destroy humanity. But Tae-In saw the truth. The infected were only consumed by rage. They were not harming each other like monsters in zombie stories. Only when they attacked the uninfected did the virus spread further. Then the constellation finally understood. His rage came from pure despair. He despaired because no one could ever understand his deep frustration. The lone god tried not to hurt anyone around him. He endured the endless, burning frustration alone for an unimaginable time. Then humanity finally understood. It must have been incredibly difficult. He cursed his own nature, wondering why he was like this. The overwhelming fury made it impossible to live a normal life. He wanted to change, but it was never going to be easy. But now he knows there is no point suffering alone anymore. He has survived so much, now he has friends who value him. So Tae-In extends an invitation, asking the god to join him. Silence follows. The great constellation stands quiet for a few seconds. Then Hyuga Karuna growls. This warm feeling actually makes him furious. Before Tae-In can react, a brutal strike throws him far backward. The raging god screams. He wants no companions, demanding the boy's life. Heavy blows rain down. Tae-In is slammed violently into the ground. Udreni screams in panic. The god charges forward to strike again. His fist misses the boy entirely, shattering the earth with sheer force. Another constellation begs him to stop. Layla calls to her friend. Hyuga Karuna curses him as a bastard who cannot stay angry forever. Linara quickly heals him. Tae-In chuckles, calling it a classic scene. Udreni calls out. She tells Hyuga Karuna to look around him. The god realizes where he is, his eyes gleaming at the beauty. Everything is frozen. He laughs, while Tae-In asks what he truly desires. Will you join me? Tae-In extends his hand to the fading god. Hyuga Karuna looks to the sky, quietly accepting the warm offer. Tae-In smiles. He made the right choice. No more tragic endings. He was never a fan of those sad, dramatic stories that always seem to happen. But as he reaches out, his hand passes right through the god. Hyuga Karuna looks down sadly, realizing he cannot join their long journey after all. Udreni gasps, completely unable to understand what is happening here. He explains, constellations fade away when they lose their reason for being. With no target left for his rage, his physical form is dissolving. Tae-In desperately protests, but the god simply hands him his necklace. He urges him to take it as his body turns to stardust. Hyuga Karuna's artifact, the Amulet of Rage, stored his raw fury for eons. An item like this was bound to help Tae-In on his journey. Still, Tae-In remains confused, demanding that Hyuga Karuna come with them instead. Hyuga Karuna just laughs. He apologizes for calling Tae-In a weak worm before. Right when they finally connect, he has to fade away like this. The dying constellation admits this timing is incredibly irritating. Tae-In shouts his name, but Yudu-Rei's sword suddenly strikes. Tae-In dodges. Yudu-Rei mutters that she should have killed Karuna sooner. The constellation's death is a massive, unprecedented collapse of the cosmic order. The system calculates that Tae-In is now a danger to the universe. Terrified, the other team members scream for Yudu-Rei to hold back. She ignores them, raising her blade for one final, lethal strike. She whispers an apology, but someone suddenly catches her sword midair. Yudu-Rei gasps, recognizing the newcomer as Amashira, the constellation of fun. Tae-In remembers him, a legendary powerhouse with sly, fox-like eyes. Yudu-Rei angrily demands to know why he is interfering here. Amashira tells her to calm down, utterly amused by Tae-In's antics. He congratulates the boy for claiming the artifact of the Wrath constellation. More importantly, he brings a direct order from the Supreme God. Tae-In just waves his hand, dryly asking about this so-called decree. The decree demands a divine ceremony, specifically for the human, Bae and Tae-In. Yudu-Rei gets highly annoyed, while the others wonder what this means. Basically, Amashira is offering him a VIP pass to become a god himself. He calls it a gathering of friends, but Tae-In scoffs. He knows the gods only view humans as recipe ingredients. They were just trying to kill him, yet Amashira tells him to relax. The playful god claims that not every constellation wants him dead. Still, Amashira wants to know if he is really rejecting this. Is he absolutely sure about turning down such a massive upgrade? Tae-In refuses instantly, throwing a freezing glare at the playful deity. Amashira smiles, since this reaction is exactly what he wanted to see. As the god of fun, he could never ignore such chaos. And he is certainly not the only deity watching Tae-In's every move. The entire heavens became fascinated after Hyuga Karuna was defeated. Tae-In ignores the praise, coldly telling Amashira to get lost. Amashira apologizes, but admits watching this play out is just too entertaining. He will inform the Supreme King that Bae and Tae-In refused the ceremony. but he warns the young hunter to prepare for the heavy fallout. From now on, every single constellation is officially his enemy. Tae-In frowns, asking if that includes the 12 houses of the zodiac. Amashira nods, explaining that they are the brightest stars in existence. These 12 represent the absolute peak of celestial power. Each one commands enough force to destroy entire worlds. Their combined wrath could easily wipe out all cosmic life. Talk about an impossible fight. 12 gods are now after him. Would become his enemies. Amasura tells Tae-In that he can count one out now, since the constellation of justice has already chosen to take his side. Tae-In asks her if Yudo Rienai is really part of the 12 houses. She nods, explaining that before earning her celestial title of justice. Her original name was Yudo Rienai of Libra, the 7th member. Tae-In is stunned to be traveling with someone so legendary. He asks if all of the constellations carry that very same mark. Amasura confirms they do, though the patterns are completely unique. He watched them battle Hujakaruna and warns she will fail. But she calmly replies that her title as a zodiac means absolutely nothing. Her priority is keeping universal order, even if it means stepping down. Amasura just laughs, teasing her for never being able to joke around. Getting impatient, Tae-In asks if the trickster has anything else to say. The constellation of fun merely wonders what the protagonist is after. He demands that Tae-In keep him entertained, promising mutual fun ahead. Suddenly, Kaeon-ma steps forward, eager for a real godly opponent. Flaunting her heavy demonic energy, she steps up to fight him. Amasura playfully begs her to stop using such terrifyingly violent threats. But ignoring the teasing, Kaeon-ma immediately unleashes her absolute strongest attack. Tae-In gasps in shock as Amasura calmly raises a single hand. With one simple flick, he shatters the entire dimension instantly. Luckily, Yudo Rienai warps them away before the planet explodes. Mid-warp, she checks if Kaeon-ma survived that devastating godly blast. Without her divine barrier of justice, the demon girl was dead. But she just grins, calling a near-death battle pure fun. Suddenly, Amasura appears right inside their portal, fully agreeing with her. He asks where they are heading, finding humans incredibly interesting. He asks why Tae-In is mad since he saved him. Tae-In silently doubts if this god could survive Hugakaruna's attacks. Amasura promises protection, keeping other constellations from ganging up on him. He introduces himself as Amasura of Capricorn, the 10th house. In addition to that, the playful god whispers a hidden secret into Tae-In's ear. He tells him it seems fun, expressing high hopes for him. Then he slides a small flute directly into the boy's hand. He warns that if Tae-In ever wants to play, just blow it. Bidding a chaotic farewell, the trickster god vanishes from the portal. Tae-In is left alone, staring down at the mysterious wooden flute. Moments later, they materialize back on Earth, right outside the school. Yudo Rienai groans, admitting she will never get used to teleportation. Tae-In questions the sudden jump, since Hujakaruna is still out there. Yudo Rienai sincerely apologizes for attacking him earlier. Tae-In tells her to drop it, but she insists he suffered. She admits she was arrogant to pass judgment without knowing the truth. She decides to return to the sanctuary to get proper instructions. Kaeon-ma demands to revert to her original form to train, leaving Lyra confused. As Tae-In starts wondering what to do next, Il-jun steps up to speak. He points toward a specific spot, making the entire group turn around. They see ordinary people finally returning to their normal, peaceful daily lives. Tae-In notes the rage virus is totally gone, and Il-jun says he actually saved the world. After thinking it over for a few seconds, Tae-In suddenly disbands the entire team. Shocked, Il-jun questions this, but Tae-In simply explains the reality of things. Everyone can go back to their normal routines now, even though he had help. Despite his legendary title, he did not do it alone, leaving Hamburger totally baffled. Tae-In suddenly backtracks, claiming he did it all alone, then a surprise. But just when things settle down, the system screen pops up, shocking Il-jun. Tae-In is pretty surprised that the rest of them can even see the interface. The screen overflows with text, but Tae-In simply refuses to read long messages. He ignores anything over 4 lines, so the system issues a direct penalty warning. His penalty is for defeating Hujakaruna, so Tae-In asks what they will do. He wonders if they will strip away his cheat skills or throw him into some prison. Lock him in some special prison. Instead, the system drops different news. Both Tae-In and his allies are under surveillance and cannot block the cosmic constellations. Now they must attend trials held by the constellations, drawing the group closer. Everyone crowds around as Tae-In asks if they can actually see his status window. One of the girls wonders what a system is, realizing the companions mean them. The screen instantly confirms her guess, locking them all into the same mess. Tae-In steps up, claiming he will take full responsibility and handle this alone. He begs the system to leave his friends out of it, but it immediately shuts him down. It tells him to stop being so ridiculous, reminding him of all his past trouble. He caused massive headaches by treating the system like a servant this whole time. It demands he stop skipping any text that goes over 4 lines, which confuses Tae-In. Udrini chimes in, noting that a constellation of her tier has to attend trials. She must attend trials of other constellations, and her own system agrees. It warns they will deeply regret this, but first there is something else. Since they cleared the brutal trial of wrath, a special reward is finally ready. Tae-In is genuinely surprised, but his teammates are still pretty annoyed with him. As night falls, Tae-In literally drops to his knees to beg them to stay. He officially cancels the disbandment, but Chin-Ma is completely done with his antics. She mutters that maybe just ending Tae-In's life would solve all their problems. Layla tries to calm her down, while Udrini points out their main issue. They have no idea when the next trial will hit, meaning they cannot separate. Yunya quietly apologizes, but her only wish right now is to see her family. She is practically losing her mind with worry over what happened to them. Layla comforts Yunya, while Lainara suggests they visit her family home first. Tae-In realizes he only secured his own parents, completely forgetting about theirs. He agrees they should all head over together so they can get some peace. They truly deserve a break, and back home, Yunya rushes to hug her mother. Her mother cries out in sheer relief, while Tae-In quietly excuses himself. She quickly calls out to her husband, shouting that their daughter is finally home. Her father rushes into the room, gasping out that absolute chaos has broken out. He knew it must have been the protagonist who kept his daughter safe out there. The protagonist shrugged. It was close enough, though a bit much. Yunya's father thanked him anyway, then Tae-In explained everything that had happened. The older man found the wild tale hard to believe, but he praised the protagonist for saving humanity. Yunya's father was just happy that his daughter had found such a reliable friend. Meanwhile, Lainara looked down and asked if it was really okay to wear these clothes. Yunya agreed she could not keep wearing the outfit that pervert gave her. Layla wondered how a factory from this era could produce something so clean and durable. Eudorina, however, barely understood clothing. The protagonist asked if his work was really that bad. Yunya admitted they fit, then turned and asked if Cheon-ma refused to wear them. The guy snapped back immediately. He would rather rot in hell. Just then, dinner was ready. The mother asked her daughter to grab it from the oven, and the hot food was brought straight to the table. Tae-In practically drooled, while Iljan asked if Yunya's mother always cooked this well. Layla smiled, noting how peaceful this entire house felt. The mother asked her husband to set the main table. She had not expected visitors, but she warmly told them to eat as much as they wanted and ask for seconds. The sheer hospitality took them by surprise. Layla politely thanked her for the warm meal. While Cheon-ma stared blankly and asked what a fork was, the protagonist took a bite. He praised the food. Yunya's father smiled, thinking he would make a great son-in-law. The mother explained this lasagna was actually her daughter's favorite. But Yunya quickly pouted. She snapped that she did not cook this for him. Cheon-ma admitted she could easily be a professional chef, while Lainara giggled quietly. She whispered that Yunya was a total tsundere. Yunya sighed, remembering her childhood dream of culinary school. That was why she took cooking so seriously. Soon, everyone shared a wonderful meal, talking and laughing like a real family. Iljan wondered aloud if good food just tasted better when shared. Time flew by fast, and eventually the plates were cleared. A satisfied Tae-In thanked the hosts and praised her cooking. Yunya's mother smiled warmly until a sudden voice cut in. The mysterious voice complained that the lasagna was a bit too salty. Tae-In jumped, asking how long she had been standing there. Eudorina gasped, recognizing her instantly. This was the constellation of cuisine Oishikanar. She simply smirked at their shock. The protagonist demanded to know why she showed up unannounced. Oishikanar chuckled, stating she was here to show them the true, spicy nature of their trials. Tae-In panicked, asking if a fight was breaking out, and shoved Yunya's father behind his back. But Oishikanar shook her head. She was not that kind of constellation. She was simply curious about the meals enjoyed by the creations they made. Her specific trial for him was to cook a dish that would satisfy her refined palate. But he would have to hunt down the rare ingredients and cook it himself. Tae-In groaned about facing yet another trial. Why should they even bother? Oishikanar warned him. To count his blessings, if it had not been for the direct intervention of Omire, the constellation of fun, humanity would have been wiped out already. If he failed this trial, or if the other gods arrived, total annihilation was guaranteed. She gave him 1 week to prepare his dish, instructing him to call when ready. She vanished right through the system. She was gone. Yun's mother stood there completely stunned, while Yun just let out a heavy sigh. Why cook for constellations? Seriously, Tae-In stood there completely lost in his thoughts. No way, his powers couldn't do that until it clicked. He broke the news to her parents. They were leaving again to save the world. Her father nodded, saying he was trusting him with humanity and his daughter. Yun instantly turned bright red and screamed at her dad. Elsewhere, Yun asked about the next plan. Tae-In remembered summoning Layla back then. She remembered too. That's when Tae-In came up with a crazy new plan. He would summon someone perfect from inside his own pocket world. Wait, what did that mean? Yun stared in pure confusion. Simple, he would teleport everyone to a place beyond normal space and time. A dimension packed with the absolute best cooking ingredients in existence. Boom. Just like that, he flashed them to a sunny field. Tae-In opened his eyes. Where did you bring us now? Kaeon-ma muttered, while Iljin watched. Look over there, Tae-In smiled, asking what else it could possibly be. Wait, a dragon? Seriously, talk about a wild start to a new world tour. The giant beast let out a massive roar. Laenara panicked. Layla and Yun groaned. Seriously, not another giant monster to deal with. The dragon immediately unleashed a massive torrent of fire straight at them. No problem, Tae-In took the entire fiery blast head-on. He blocked it easily. Way too easy, he muttered, preparing to attack. With a simple flick, he accidentally vaporized the beast. Oops, bad control. So he just rewound time, leaving the beast completely dazed. Tae-In smiled, admitting he actually wanted to tame a dragon. Wait, don't kill me, the monster panicked, instantly shifting into a human form. Looking miserable in its new human form, the dragon begged him for mercy. Tae-In scoffed. Its dramatic face didn't match its words at all. The beast introduced himself as Dasos, 14th guardian of the ancient forest. He seemed dangerous a second ago, but now, totally pathetic. How anticlimactic, Dasos blinked, asking if he was the prophesied hero. Yes, he was the student summoned from another world to save them. So you're the child of prophecy, Tae-In just shrugged. Classic setup, the dragon then explained 50,000 years had passed since then. That was when their clan first recorded the prophecy and passed it down. In 5 days, 2 moons will align, bringing 7 legendary strangers here. They would gather at the Pillar of Light, but there were only 6. Tae-In nodded, so they just had to beat the Demon King. Simple. Dasos gasped. How did this kid already know the entire prophecy's contents? Tae-In waved it off, asking what the most delicious food around was. The dragon stood there utterly speechless, and with that, the day ended. Tae-In soon learned that this continent, Aeoni, had 4 legendary delicacies. First, a mythical flower from the world tree blooming once every 1,000 years. Just 1 bite would grant someone 10 full years of pure vitality. Next was the spine of a lava sea urchin, followed by rare dragon eggs. Regarded as the ultimate legendary ingredient, along with meat from the hidden land. Of a paradise rabbit, 4 epic ingredients. Then Tae-In asked if Dasos, being a dragon, could donate some eggs. Dasos snapped back, rude. Tae-In asked why they did not just summon everything right now. He started casting the spell to conjure them, but Dasos instantly stopped him. The dragon insisted those legendary items could not simply be summoned. Tae-In complained, arguing they were only cooking ingredients, but Dasos explained that the lava sea urchin lives deep within the underworld caverns, right under the Demon King's fortress. Surviving under crushing volcanic pressure, summoning a creature like that to a different environment would cause an immediate, catastrophic explosion due to the sudden pressure change. Tae-In then asked about summoning the other items. The dragon scoffed. They are rare for a reason, 30 years since the world tree last bloomed. The paradise rabbit was hunted to extinction for its incredible, unique flavor. And his eggs, forget it, Tae-In told the furious dragon to just relax. Why on earth were they even searching for these ridiculous ingredients anyway? He wondered if they could even call themselves a proper hero party. Tae-In explained that they were trying to save the world in their own way. He did not expect Dasos to get it, though his help would be nice. Realizing the boy was actually serious, the ancient dragon slowly closed his eyes. If Tae-In really was the prophesied hero, it was his duty to guide him. First up, the world tree and that lava sea urchin. The elves guarding the tree can assist, but for the volcanic urchin, they must dig deep into underworld caverns and search directly inside the boiling lava. They might face the Demon King's army, but with their current strength. Total breeze, Dasos suggested they target these two ingredients first. Tae-In agreed with that plan, deciding they should split into two separate groups. With split into two teams, Leonara asked which group he would join. Tae-In replied that he would join both by splitting himself into two clones. Dasos stared in disbelief as Tae-In secretly mused to himself, usually in such situations, one team always ends up running into absolute chaos. The World Tree Squad features Uni, Lyra N, and Dasos. Meanwhile, the Demon Castle team would consist of Iljan, Cheon Ma, and Yudo Renee. The World Tree team marched straight into the woods. Then Tae-In asked Dasos why he had skipped the Demon King's castle to tag along here instead. Dasos replied that the Demon King was terrifying, but Tae-In pointed out his smug expression did not match his words. Dasos quickly announced they had arrived at the ancient settlement of the elves guarding the tree, the city of Silent Hill. Leonara marveled at its beauty, while Tae-In noted that the colossal tree looked like something straight out of Norse mythology. Suddenly, a volley of magical arrows flew their way, but Tae-In blocked them. With a flick of his wrist, joking about the intense reception, an elf appeared, declaring they were trickster humans, and it was bold of them to step into the sanctuary of the World Tree. They would not leave. Live, Dasos commanded them to stop, while Tae-In found the elves kind of cute to look at. Suddenly, one of the elves recognized someone. The mighty dragon speaks. Dasos announces that Tae is the child of prophecy, but the elves immediately protest, claiming a mere human cannot ever be that destined savior. Naturally, Tae feels pretty insulted by their condescending attitude. The elf prince leaps down from the branches, declaring that Tae's weak kind could never fulfill the legend. He claims the dragon is completely mistaken. Confused, Tae wonders if they already know each other. The dragon explains that this arrogant elf is Beldor, the captain of the guard and elven prince. He holds absolute authority here, meaning they must somehow win him over. But his attitude is downright terrible. Beldor sneers that humans are dirty and incredibly vulgar, until his eyes land on Layla standing in the back. Her absolute beauty instantly stuns him. The proud prince is completely love-struck. Meanwhile, far away in the demon castle, a minion mentions how tense things are, making his heart race. Deep in his throne room, the Demon King watches closely. He finds this whole situation highly amusing. Back in Silent, the elves serve a feast. Linara politely thanks them, while Tae wonders if they have a second stomach for sweets. Layla asks about a delicious local fruit they served. Beldor happily explains it is called crispy feather. Thrilled that she likes it, Dasos whispers that even this hostile prince is suddenly playing nice. Honestly, this has to be a historic miracle. Beldor gently asks if Layla is looking for something in their forest. He promises the elves will gladly assist this beautiful woman of prophecy. Tae steps in and grabs his hand, thanking him, explaining they need the World Tree flower. Beldor snaps, telling Tae to remove his filthy hands. Tae grumbles while Linara calms him. Beldor explains that if they want the World Tree flower, they are out of luck for 30 years. Layla desperately asks if there is any other way. Suddenly, Tae suggests he might be able to force the World Tree to bloom. Instantly, the elves draw their weapons in fury. Dasos commands them to hold their fire, but the guards accuse them of trying to plunder their sacred tree. The dragon warns Tae to watch his mouth regarding their holy symbol. Tae apologizes, explaining his own home world is doomed without that flower. Beldor scoffs, doubting Tae is the true hero, but Layla begs for their help, pleading for any alternative. Her soft voice completely mesmerizes the guards. Blushing, Beldor clears his throat to break the awkward silence, suggesting they consult their wise elder. When they finally meet the old sage, he simply chuckles. They ate the last flower centuries ago, leaving absolutely nothing behind. He questions how Tae expects to find one. In this era, he suggests they just hang around and wait a bit. If they survive another 30 years, they might get lucky, Tae asks. If there is any shortcut, but Lenara reminds him of their 1 week deadline. The elder reminisces about drinking world tree petal tea when he was young. Even after 700 years, he still remembers that divine flavor. Feeling blessed by the forest itself, he wonders how incredible fresh petal would taste, teasingly asking if humans are jealous of them. Tae seriously doubts this rambling old man is their wisest sage, but Theonal warns them not to even approach the sacred tree. They are not even the chosen ones, but the elder boasts about his staff. It is made of a world tree branch. Tae-In should look closely before leaving. Come back in 30 years if you survive. Beldor says it is just as expected. Beldor praises his teachings, but Dassos grumbles that this is no real achievement. The old man asks, has Tae-In never seen anything like this? Tae-In does not answer. He just snatches the staff right out of his hand. Shocked, Beldor panics while Yun screams that he cannot just steal a staff. Too late, Tae-In triggers his lightning growth. The dead wood shivers. Leaves sprout, flowers bloom. Dassos gasps, unable to process the miracle. Tae-In smiles. Since they love the world tree, they deserve a massive new one. Muriel is completely stunned, asking how such a thing is even possible. Tae-In explains that it only blooms once every 1,000 years, producing rare flowers. The elves rejoice in pure worship, glorifying their prophesied hero. 6,000 years is tough, but 1,000, nothing special. Muriel collapses straight to the ground, deeply shattered by this legendary display. In this moment, he witnessed a true miracle direct from the gods. Just like that, Tae-In secures the seed of the world tree. Mission complete. Now, how is the Demon King's vanguard holding up? Over on the other front, Kim Il-jin obliterates a charging demon. The beast is shocked, the mighty Barachalanal defeated by a human. Kim Il-jin sighs, calling it disappointing for a supposed gatekeeper of the Demon King. Tae-In smiles, commenting on how charismatic his ally truly is. The girls watch silently until Tae-In shouts that the gate is opening. They just look on blankly until Tae-In celebrates the gate's sudden opening. Yakam is stunned. Barachalanal could easily slay 10 dragons alone. Yet he was defeated in seconds. This was highly impressive to Yakam. Yakam is the weakest heavenly king, but Tae-In cuts him off. He completely understands the plight of the defeated demon. Yakam finds this amusing, but his confidence is clearly shaken. Tae-In laughs. The guy is just baring his teeth to hide his fear. Kaeon-ma smiles as he charges his powers. Let us just go ahead. Tae-In tells him not to talk so casually, warning that it invites death. Fools, Yakam roars, charging a dark energy in his hand. But Kaeon-ma counters instantly with a single, devastating slash of his sword. Only a severed arm remains. Kaeon-ma shrugs, no need to provoke. The demon lord cannot be much tougher. Tae-In enters the dark castle. Pretty gloomy, he wonders where the next heavenly king is hiding. Suddenly, they hear a massive crash as a heavily chained woman appears. She welcomes her dear brother, happy he made it all the way to the fortress. But she smiles, warning him that this castle will be his absolute limit. She introduces herself as the Scythe of Chains, but Kaeon-ma whacks her. She is knocked flat, the girl sighs. Boredom might actually kill her. An existential crisis. Dealing with these trivial life forms is exhausting. These creations of the constellations are barely worth the effort. Only cosmic entities could challenge them now, but then. A mocking laugh echoed through the room. Tae-In gasped as a corpse stood up. She rose, the other fallen kings followed as rotting zombies. Valletta bragged that this was his ultimate zombie army. He sneered at our heroes, demanding they kneel before his absolute power. But wait, Tae-In wasn't falling for this cheap zombie trick. Normal attacks were completely useless. Tae-In activated his simultaneous conjuration. Massive dimensional exile portals suddenly opened around Valletta. The exact same dimensional tears swallowed the remaining zombie kings. Valletta screamed that this was unfair, but Tae-In simply shut the gateways. They could find peace there, Tae-In quietly muttered, looking ahead. It was time to head down to the massive lava ocean under the cavern. The group nodded, as that was their entire reason for coming here. They pushed deeper, though Tae-In sensed something was wrong. This was not the correct path, had the demon lord arrived already. Dealing with this threat quickly was crucial, but Udini suddenly begged them to wait. A terrifying presence suddenly appeared, commanding the entire group to kneel. Tae-In was shocked, while Udini questioned how he was even there. The demon lord chuckled, saying it was obviously his own massive castle. He revealed his true identity, the constellation of war, Zeta Isharos. Just moments earlier, as they headed toward the castle, Dassos tried to explain the Heavenly Kings. But Tae-In stopped him, complaining that spoilers completely ruin the fun. Kim Il-jin laughed at how bizarre their leader was, but Dassos stayed serious. He warned them of one crucial thing: the Demon King was incredibly powerful. For thousands of years, countless legendary champions had tried to challenge him. Yet not a single challenger had ever managed to survive the fight. Oddly enough, he never actually launched direct attacks on the human realm. Tae-In dismissed the warning, confident he could handle whatever came their way. Back in the present, a crushing weight forced Tae-In down to his knees. He strained to look up, asking Udini how she recognized this monster. She explained he was the ultimate warrior who ended the ancient war alone. His sheer brute force earned him a seat among the Council of 12. This battle god was the reason deities are now banned from fighting. Tae-In spat, asking why a supreme god was playing a cheap villain. Zeta laughed, admitting he simply craved war, though the gods forbade him. Denied the right to fight directly, he had to get creative. So he built this entire world, trapping countless factions in endless war. Watching his creations tear each other apart gave him absolute satisfaction. Better yet, the survivors produced a massive harvest of rare spiritual energy. This power was far stronger than anything found in normal realms. That was why he crowned himself the Demon King of this world. Tae-In slowly stood back up, refusing to let lives be treated like toys. Zeta smirked, clearly amused that this weak mortal was defying his absolute pressure. He noted that passing the previous trial had unlocked Ascension Level 2. Instantly, Tae-In triggered his Divine Verdict skill as Udini screamed in terror. It was too much. Dozens of angels advanced, but Zeta easily shrugged them off. No effort, he just transformed his main weapon into a massive defensive shield. Zeta mocked them. Was this truly the strongest light magic in the world? It was certainly impressive power, having already devastated the rest of the planet. Then he commanded it. The shield morphed right back into a deadly halberd. Zeta was looking forward to fighting the prophesied hero and wanted some fun. He heard a human managed to wipe out a constellation, simply insane. And now that very same hero stood before him, he had to see. But Yudo Rienai stepped in, begging him to wait for their active test. They were undergoing the gastronomy trial, meaning Zeta absolutely should not interfere. Zeta clarified he had zero plans to interfere, but they invaded his castle first. However, mentioning this test reminded Zeta of a very curious old rule set. A memory of Amasura summoning every single constellation to make a deal. He stated they were all deeply interested in testing the newly awakened mortal. They wanted to run trials and harvest his absolute best energy source. But if every single god attacked at once, humanity would be wiped out. So they had to keep things fair, talk about an absurdly polite apocalypse. They decided to take turns based on who registered their interest first. Amasura asked if anyone objected, but nobody dared challenge him. Fearing his power, they all agreed. Zeta sighed, noting that unfortunately, his turn was pushed way back to number 389 in line. Yudo Rienai quickly explained they only came here to find rare cooking ingredients. Zeta laughed, noting as master of this space, he could conjure anything. They just had to ask. Glancing over, Tae-In requested lava sea thorns. Zeta asked how many they needed. Tae-In replied, as many as possible. The Demon King obliged, immediately manifesting dozens of glowing lava thorns. He asked if they required more. Tae-In casually asked if he had any dragon eggs and paradise rabbits. Immediately, a massive pile appeared. And honestly, who can blame Tae-In for thinking this guy is a total cheat code? Zeta urged them to complete their tests so they could finally battle properly. The hero thought about it for a few seconds, then smirked playfully. Tae-In agreed, promising he would definitely return someday to propose their duel. Meanwhile, Kim Il-jin whispered that this scary Demon King was actually super kind. Zeta warned him not to lose his life, while Tae-In told him to wait. Soon they returned to the Elven land. There, our main character was absolutely fuming. Thinking he had only just discovered something so delicious made him furious. The others literally cried tears of joy while stuffing their faces with the flowers. Layla wondered how amazing they would taste cooked when another group suddenly arrived. Spotting the rare treats, they gasped. Picasso muttered they should be extinct. Tae-In's clone stood frozen, asking if the original had gathered them all. He desperately wanted to know the source, before formally greeting the real Tae-In. Picasso pointed out how insane it was seeing so many rare ingredients. He eagerly questioned if Tae-In had truly managed to defeat the Demon Lord. Uriel smiled, noting this was exactly what she expected of their savior. Meanwhile, Che and Ma wept while eating the flower, and Layla played nearby. The enthusiastic elves hoist Tae into the air, celebrating their fabled hero of prophecy. Tae can only wonder, do they think he already won, or is this just the beginning? Either way, Yuna stares at the weird ingredients, wondering how they will ever cook them. Uriel quickly backs off, reminding her that he only knows history, not kitchen skills. When the other girls turn to Yuna, she admits she has never seen these items before. Dasso steps in, suggesting they go find the absolute best chef around. He figures the royal chef of Aeobni can easily handle any ingredient they bring. Yud Rianai agrees that it makes sense, and Tae thinks it is a great idea. They prepare to set off immediately, leaving Dassos to wonder why Tae is staring. Soon, the group is soaring through the sky on the giant dragon's back. While Cheon Ma and Yud Rianai travel on foot, Tae steers the beast toward the palace. Down in a quiet village, a father and son point at what looks like a massive bird. They assume such giant creatures only exist in old legends, but they are dead wrong. No time to run, Dassos drops right out of the sky, landing heavily before them. Tae proudly calls him a super dragon, looking out at the glittering capital. He stares in awe at Aeobni, wondering if they just stepped into another world. Dassos warns Tae that he is on his own now, since dragons do not mingle with kings. He tells Tae to watch his step, and trust me, he has good reason. The dragon simply grins, telling him he will understand everything once they finally meet. Tae offers his sincere thanks, hoping their paths cross again somewhere down the road. Helping the hero of prophecy is a genuine honor, even if brief. He dryly adds a warning, they should probably never cross paths again. When Tae politely asks to borrow a wooden cart, the terrified locals offer up everything. They roll into the busy city, while Kim Il-jin loudly declares their arrival. Layla mutters a quiet complaint, annoyed by how much the crowd is staring. Suddenly, a rough voice cuts through the murmurs. They are completely blocked. The thugs demand their gear, making Tae sigh at how incredibly cliché this is. Layla rolls her eyes, recognizing them as just some trash-tier bandits looking for a fight. Bandits have no clue who they are talking to and aggressively repeat their demands. They step forward, give it up, or things are going to get ugly. An axe-wielding creep steps up, making a nasty comment about Layla's striking looks. His partner tries to flirt with Cheon Ma, but she glares back with icy murder. Tae casually tells his allies to keep them alive, leaving the bandits totally confused. Before they can blink, Cheon Ma moves, fast, strike complete. She drops the whole gang instantly, muttering about giving up to just reincarnate. The crowd gasps, stunned that the entire threat vanished in a single blow. They immediately start whispering that this group must truly be the prophesied heroes. Cheers erupt as they pass. Tae grins, time to give them a real show. He scatters a handful of world tree blossoms, completely mesmerizing the gathered citizens. Meanwhile, inside the grand royal castle, a panicked servant rushes to find the king. He reports that a self-proclaimed hero is outside, demanding an audience. The king simply chews on a greasy chicken leg, calling the entire situation ridiculous. He waves his hand to banish them, but the servant quickly stops him. The visitors apparently brought the 4 legendary delicacies, completely changing his mind. This greedy ruler instantly changes his tune, ordering them to be brought in. Stepping inside, Tae asks for permission. Tom just laughs, questioning his presence. Tae explains his mission. He wants to borrow the royal head chef for a while. He requests the chef temporarily, silently noting that Tom has the look of a complete tyrant. Tom literally drools, demanding that Tae hand over all 4 of his legendary delicacies in exchange. He wants the rare food. Tae hesitates, wondering how that would even work. That is a tough request. Tom immediately snaps, accusing Tae of refusing a royal order. He summons his guards, completely ignoring his own servant, who tries to reason with him. The king barks for silence as armored guards quickly step in front of him. Tom barks a brutal command, kill the boy and enslave all the women. As the soldiers ready their weapons, Tae sighs that this country is a total mess. No wonder the streets are overrun with bandits and starving children under this rule. Having seen enough, he decides to summon his heavy hitter, the mighty celestial demon. He gives her just one rule: do not kill them. Chanma grins wildly. The soldiers charge forward. Tae calmly shakes his head. They definitely served the wrong master. In a flash, Chanma dashes forward. She obliterates the entire squad instantly. Tom watches in pure shock, completely speechless. Overcoming his elites so easily, Tae simply apologizes for the commotion. Honestly, since things have already gone this far, why not just take the throne? With a grin, he places the crown right onto Kim Il-jin. Tom immediately begs for mercy. While the terrified tyrant pleads, Kim Il-jin proudly declares himself the new king. Tae then commands the newly crowned boy to bring out the royal head chef. King Kim Il-jin barks the order immediately. Tae sighs, finding this whole situation ridiculous. The servant quickly bows, apologizing for the wait and introducing the chef, Sanchez. He is the royal head chef. Tae questions his messy appearance, but Tom sneers. Tom claims he is just a lazy son of slaves who wasted every opportunity. Yet his cooking is too valuable to lose. Suddenly, the servant speaks up. He reveals that this pig of a king was brutally exploiting the chef without rest. Tom defends himself, calling him ungrateful. Tae mutters that Tom is absolutely pathetic. Finding his behavior completely revolting, King Kim Il-jin sentences the tyrant to exile. He banishes him to another dimension. Tom screams, but the pig king is cast out. Plunging straight into the portal, he begs for help while Layla sighs. Tae just laughs it off, saying it was pretty fun. Now, on to business. One crucial task remains. They must deal with this chef, the future of humanity. Sleep deprivation has clearly taken a toll. They call his name, waking him. He panics, apologizing and saying he will cook immediately. Tae tells him to relax. Sanchez insists he has to start cooking, fearing the tyrant will be furious. He is terrified of his master getting hungry, but Tae tells him to stop worrying. Talk about a massive power shift. Now, this little kid is the new king. Welcome to the new Achinia. Sanchez is utterly confused, asking if they mean food. King Kim Il-jin steps up, commanding him to cook a legendary feast. Sanchez gasps as he spots the unbelievably rare ingredients before him. Tae smiles, pointing out that the cart is loaded with 4 mythical delicacies. He challenges him to create the most incredible dish in the entire universe. The chef gulps, eyes shining, and immediately heads straight for the kitchen. Yunya ties her apron, waving as Sanchez begins chopping onions at lightning speed. Next, he cooks up a lava sea spine soup. Yuna immediately starts crying. Seeing the paradise rabbit leg was tough, but together they try cracking the dragon egg. They scramble it in an immense pan, intense, both are under a lot of pressure. Still, they manage to smile when they see how the dish finally turns out. Returning to the royal hall, they proudly announce that dinner is ready. Sanchez confidently claims this is easily the most delicious meal in the whole world. He reveals the massive omelet. Smiling, Sanchez explains how they made it. Salting the world tree flowers, he cooks them alongside some tender rabbit thighs. Then he stuffed it with dragon eggs, serving it beside lava sea spines. Tae-In thinks the flavor is absolutely unreal, while Lee Nara admits it looks scary to eat. Yuna happily explains she tasted it earlier, calling it completely heavenly. Finally, they dig in. Immediately, our main character falls into a deep trance. Wait for it, the moment the fork touches his mouth, his mind is blasted away. He floats through a dimension, weeping. Suddenly, his tears reveal a beautiful sight. The clear blue sky opens over a massive field of comforting flowers. Staring at his hands, he looks up at the clouds and opens his arms wide. He keeps crying as an enormous statue of a goddess slowly approaches him. She holds his hands and kisses him. Beautiful. Back in reality, Tae-In starts crying. It is just too delicious. Lee Nara notes that our hero's reaction proves everything. He finally snaps out of it, warmly thanking the chef for this miracle. Now they can finally challenge the goddess Oishikanar with real confidence. Sanchez is deeply grateful to the brave heroes who saved him and his entire nation. He wishes them success, and our hero kindly summons a bed for him. Letting the chef rest, he turns to the group and asks if they are ready. Telling the system they are prepared, he waits for the final trial. The system acknowledges this and begins transporting them to the gourmet dimension. Tae-In mentions he is placing his trust in their chef, and Yuna nods. Once teleported, our hero immediately wonders why the area is so dark. It is pitch black, and a frightened Yuna admits she cannot see a thing. But he quickly summons a magical light, just as Oishikanar suddenly speaks. She admits she is quite impressed by how fast they finished their preparations. Passing her original test would have been too easy, so things are changing. Believe it or not, she actually welcomes them to a massive cooking competition instead. Linara gasps, while our hero immediately blames Amasura for this mess. The goddess simply smiles, asking if they remember the original test rules. They had to prepare a meal to satisfy her, gathering every single ingredient themselves. Those exact rules still stand, but she has added a major twist. Suddenly, she summons legendary figures to a row of nearby cooking stations. She has gathered the absolute finest master chefs from every existing dimension. Every chef will present their signature dish, and our hero must compete. If his food is not the ultimate winner, she will reject it completely. Linara screams that she is changing the rules, but our hero laughs. He fully expected this, promising to serve the most delicious dish in existence. Oshikanar smirks, pointing out one competitor who has her backing. This legendary master chef caught her eye and is definitely no ordinary opponent. She points directly at Sanchez, who is balancing the 4 delicacies right on his head. The party stares in disbelief. Those are their stolen goods. Tae-In demands the system explain what happened to all of their supplies. Yuna panics over what to do, while Sanchez silently prepares to cook. A fish mentions this is the legendary underwater world cake, a rare clan feast. He explains it tastes best when paired with a nearby clay bowl. Oshikanar accepts the dish, offering her thanks before taking a bite. She loves the flavor, but notes the cake was not baked correctly at all. For this failure, the entire Quillet clan faces instant extinction. Calling the next chef forward, she leaves Kim Il-jin sweating in pure horror. They were not just disqualified, they were wiped from existence. Sanchez apologizes, explaining the constellation forbade sharing any food. Tae-In calls out this absolute madness, while Leonora confronts the greedy chef. Sanchez knows those supplies belong to them, but he cannot pay them back. Still, Sanchez feels genuinely awful that things turned out this way. Tae-In warns them to stop blaming Sanchez, he is not their real enemy. Oshikanar is the one pulling the strings and forcing this nightmare on them. He yells out they cannot cook with 0 ingredients. Oshikanar retorts that he simply was not prepared for this test. She graciously grants them a bit of extra time to gather supplies again. She promises to judge the final dishes, telling them to do their best. Yuna suggests summoning new food, but the goddess bans it. The goddess will only accept hand-gathered ingredients. Magical duplicates are straight-up cheating, leaving Yuna totally defeated, and asks if they can just use their broken time reversal skill to undo this. But the protagonist warns that constellations are immune to time distortion. Suddenly, a bizarre but absolutely genius idea pops right into the protagonist's head. He silently thanks the narrator before announcing he has a plan. He assures his team they will be fine, while Oshikanar waits. He knows that while brute force is fun, risky gambits are way better. Overcoming impossible obstacles with high-stakes moves makes the game worth playing. He turns to Yud Rienai with a question, while another chef serves a glowing plate. The offering of hot xenon ore fails, and the chef is vaporized. She sighs in disappointment, wondering if she will ever get a decent meal. Right on cue, she notices that Chef Sanchez has finally finished cooking. Staring at a dish that resembles dragon eggs, Oshikanar asks what he made. Sanchez proudly claims it is the absolute greatest omelet in the world. She chuckles at his confidence, but Sanchez credits the heroes for the ingredients. She completely ignores his humble gesture and raises her fork. She takes a bite, her face lighting up as she praises the perfect taste. She declares it the most delicious meal ever, establishing him as the clear frontrunner. The rest of the chefs watch in absolute shock that Sanchez survived. Oshikanar praises his mastery of the flavors, asking where he found the food. But Sanchez shocks everyone by instantly forfeiting the match. He confesses that he did not actually use the correct ingredients for the dish. He was brought there but cannot proceed with a clear conscience, so Oshikanar speaks up. She asks if he wants to be extinguished instead, leaving Tae-In completely baffled. Ingredients, he has no clue what she means. No matter how tasty the final dish is, they will win, Sanchez tries to argue. But Oshikanar just finds the whole situation pretty interesting. As the gourmet constellation, she cannot just destroy such a promising chef. The round finally ends. Oshikanar notes that out of 100 competing teams, only 8 actually managed to survive her incredibly harsh culinary judgment. These survivors represent humanity, Suddenly, she demands to know what is happening. They have not even started cooking, yet Tae-In claims their work is done. He says they already met every requirement. She asks if he is merely bluffing. Playing tricks out of fear would be a massive disappointment. Tae-In just smiles. He asks if she is truly the legendary gourmet constellation. Confused, she demands to know his point, but he asks about her commitment. Oshikane proudly replies that fine food is her absolute reason for living. Since he doubts her, she threatens him with something worse than death. She vows to hunt down all humans, cooking and eating them to extinction. Yadurei calls her a complete freak, but Tae-In stays perfectly calm. He reminds the goddess that she has not even tasted their food yet. To experience this dish, she must agree to one extremely wild condition. She must temporarily give up her divinity and become a human. Baffled, she questions this, but Tae-In already confirmed the rules with Yadurei. High-ranking constellations can indeed choose to temporarily shed their status. Mortals can never truly comprehend the raw physical joy of eating food. To taste this creation, she must experience life with a mortal body. That is the taste of life. The girls watch in complete awe. Oshikane bursts out laughing, amused enough to play along with him. He claims she does not understand eating, so she will prove him wrong. She will become human for a moment, but the test remains active. If he dares to attack her mortal form, she will disqualify him. He must behave since the constellation of justice is watching them. A fair game is guaranteed. She begins to laugh as she glows. As her aura brightens, Tae-In whispers that it is finally his turn. When the light fades, she stands there as a regular human girl. She boasts about her new form, but Tae-In tells her she is done. With a quick gesture, he triggers his temporal reversal ability. Rewinding time never worked on her as a god, but now she is mortal. The spell takes effect, instantly dragging them back to a vast meadow. Baffled by the sudden shift, she demands to know where they are. Tae-In explains his temporal powers just as a massive dragon descends. Lenora asks in complete disbelief if they actually traveled to the past. Tae-In confirms he is the prophesied hero, urging Dasos to transform quickly. Now powerless, Oshikane panics, but Yadurei reassures her she is safe. Tae-In promises he will not abandon her here in this era. He asks if she is truly willing to do anything for amazing food. She was the constellation of gastronomy, and no matter how incredible human cooking was, she wanted to see what he could do. Tae-In accepted and demanded her complete trust. He warned that she would regret it even more otherwise, now covered in dirt. Oshikane groaned on the ground, questioning why she was being subjected to this. Dasos blew his whistle to direct the drills, while Tae-In ordered her to watch her attitude. Sing properly, Tae-In ordered, but Yunya noted he had never even served. Oshikane demanded to know what military drills had to do with gourmet cooking. She demanded answers, but Tae-In barked back, "Are you talking back?" Talking back to him, Oshikane instantly regretted her defiance. She spent the entire day exercising, finally collapsing onto the dirt to rest. Tae-In asked if she was finally done. She growled back a warning. If his cooking failed, he was dead. Instead, Tae-In cast a time reversal spell. He declared they would continue, activating the spell while she desperately questioned it. Later, she climbed the world tree, using only a simple rope. She screamed in protest, but Tae-In ordered her to climb higher and gather flowers. Frantically, she asked why it had to be her, knowing one fall meant death. But Yudo Renai assured her that they would make sure to catch her. Tae-In barked to hold on tight, though Yunya wondered if this was too harsh. Yet Kaeon-ma was completely satisfied, while Tae-In muttered it would take all day. Hours slowly ticked by until Oshikane finally managed to pluck a single flower. Hearing that it was delicious beyond words, she eagerly moved to taste it. But Tae-In snatched it right from her hand, claiming they needed it for cooking. Furious, Oshikane threatened to kill him, but Yudo Renai warned her against breaking rules. Breaking the exam rules was strictly forbidden, so they headed straight to the kitchen. Inside the castle of the Demon King, Zeta suddenly burst out laughing. He mocked the completely ridiculous sight of the mighty Oshikane trapped in a human body. She demanded to know why the constellation of war was there, but Tae-In calmed her. He suggested asking nicely, while Oshikane demanded to know what was happening. Tae-In revealed that the rare ingredients she stole actually belonged to Zeta. He declared they had to finish this test first and deal with this battle-hungry fool. Oshikane agreed, immediately demanding that the cooking ingredients be properly delivered. Zeto obliged, conjuring a weird pile of rabbits, eggs, and thorns. Tae-In declared that with all ingredients gathered, it was finally time to cook. Oshikaner agreed, eager to finally wrap up this exhausting Otherworld episode. Suddenly, everyone was teleported away, leaving a bored Zeta behind. Meanwhile, back at the royal castle, a loud scream echoed through the grand halls. Tae-In easily crushed the guards, noting he never expected to see this fool twice today. A terrified Tom begged desperately on his knees for his life to be spared. Uninterested, Tae-In activated his dimensional exile, banishing him once again. He decided to leave the remaining cleanup to Yunya, who readily accepted. Meanwhile, Sanchez was resting in his room when On tried to wake him to cook. In the royal chamber, a starving Oshikaner loudly complained about her extreme hunger. She wanted answers immediately, just as Yunya entered to announce everything was ready. Hearing the news, the constellation immediately threw her playing cards aside. She would judge these humans, but first, she needed to dress appropriately. After all this trouble, if the taste is bad, she had better prepare for the worst. Yunya is stunned, while Oishikanari demands to know what she cooked. Yunya calmly explains it is her own signature creation. Then, she slowly lifts the lid. Inside lies an absolutely perfect lasagna, made using only the finest tested ingredients. It is meant to be the absolute best, but Oishikanari is not even listening anymore. She froze, a primal hunger suddenly took over her entire mind. She realizes something: the ultimate meal is simply the one that satisfies her. This profound realization will shake the entire balance of the universe. Tears stream down Oishikanari's face the moment she takes a bite. Watching her from afar, Sanchez is completely and utterly smitten. Tae asks her how it tastes. Oishikanari admits she deeply regrets her previous doubts. Never before has the constellation of gastronomy felt such pure, overwhelming joy. It uses the exact same ingredients as that previous omelet, yet this is different. Every single cell in her body is singing. This is a true culinary masterpiece. Yunya nervously asks about the final test, and Oishikanari happily confirms she passed. As everyone starts celebrating, Yunya turns to Tae to ask a question. Did he know this would happen? Tae shakes his head and laughs. It was a total gamble, but helping his allies grow seemed much more exciting. He guided things to the best outcome. Yunya looks at him, still confused. Tae smiles and tells her that this success belongs entirely to her. The meal she cooked at her house was absolutely delicious, giving him total confidence. Yunya blushes deeply and mutters that he should definitely be grateful. Suddenly, the system announces that he has completed the constellation's difficult trial. This finally unlocks the highly anticipated stage 3 of his ascension. Kim Il-jin is skeptical, noting he still lost his battles even with that power. Tae ignores him, eagerly requesting the system to release the next level. Nothing matters more to Tae right now than securing absolute strength. Fighting these divine constellations on equal terms is normally impossible. But he has no intention of playing their little games forever. Yunya points out that Oishikanari completely licked her plate clean. Oishikanari defends herself, asking if there is any more food left. She is still hungry, prompting Sanchez to step forward eagerly. He respectfully asks if he can prepare a special dessert just for her. Seeing her pure joy has reignited his entire passion as a chef. Oishikanari happily accepts his offer, leaving Tae completely speechless. Meanwhile, Yadu Rienai notes how incredibly hard Oishikanari has worked here. He asks if she is going to report back to the Constellation King. Oishikanari glances at Sanchez, her cheeks turning a bright pink. She softly declines, declaring her choice to stay in this mortal world as a human. Yadu Rienai is absolutely shocked, reminding her that her divine duties are waiting. She is supposed to return as the grand constellation of gastronomy. But she is tired of watching worlds perish and wants to truly understand cooking. Yadu Rienai warns her that this will shatter the cosmic balance. But Oishikanari simply replies that her choice is already made. She steps forward, approaching Yunya and telling her to take what is hers. It is her personal legendary artifact, the Immaculate Cutlery. Yunya wonders if they should really accept this. Oishikanari smiles, telling her to take it for the incredible food. Now Yunya asks what she is supposed to do with it, and our hero has never seen gear like this, but it looks pretty interesting. Yadu Rei silently watches, with the fallen constellation of Wrath gone in gastronomy giving up her high title. She Wonders what crazy changes this human will bring to the cosmos. On suggests they should probably share the set, although she has zero clue how to use it. Cheon-ma grabs the fork. Layla claims the constellation's knife, leaving only the golden spoon for herself. Tae-In takes it gladly, knowing she must grow much stronger. Kim Il-jin formally addresses Oishikanar as Madam, removing his royal crown, and warns her that if she plans to stay in this realm, she should definitely become the queen of his country, even though a starving Oishikanar almost ate him earlier. She managed to hold herself back, and he deeply respects that. Oishikanar scoffs, reminding him she is a culinary deity who cannot just devour anything. But she still accepts his parting gift. Kim Il-jin walks away, nursing his bruised royal pride. Soon, the culinary constellation points out that by joining the powerful faction under the god of war, she's going to learn quite a lot. Still, our protagonist doubts she knows anything about that warlike group yet. Suddenly, Anna asks what is next, and Tae-In warns that the next brutal trial is right around the corner. First came a zombie outbreak, then cooking in an alternate fantasy realm. If things keep going like this, Lee Nara notes that for every single test basically swaps the genre entirely. Talk about crazy pacing. Our hero agrees, wondering how a writer can even pack so many different genres into one story. But Yadu-Rei speaks up, promising there will be no more trials because she intends to deal with the Council of Constellations, allowing everyone to go back to their normal lives. Yunya hopefully asks if their bizarre adventures are finally over, but Amasuri suddenly appears, saying it will not be that simple. They all turn to face him as he cheerfully greets them, warning that the next god is waiting to drag them away immediately. Tae-In demands answers, but Yadu-Rei tells her to stand down. Amasura calmly explains that this next entity is one of the elite zodiacs, so they really need to move. A massive interdimensional gate opens, instantly dragging our heroes away, leaving Oishikanar and Sanchez standing there in shock. Elsewhere, it starts pouring rain in a strange new world. Tae-In looks around, and Yunya complains about the endless storm. Our protagonist grumbles that Amasir dumped them in this miserable swamp before vanishing. He checks to see if everyone survived, but the girls are already complaining about being completely soaked. Tae-In gets a really bad feeling, wondering which insane god would choose a miserable place like this as a lair. Cheon-ma warns she feels a heavy bloodlust nearby, far worse than anything they faced before. This realm is totally different, but a sudden voice from below interrupts them, saying they are way out of their depth. A mysterious figure emerges from the dark waters, warning them that surviving is impossible. Yadu-Rei panics, recognizing the dark presence of the god of despair, and our protagonist can only shout out in shock. It is completely impossible. The girl begs for mercy since they cannot take another trial. But the constellation of despair coldly rejects her, claiming it is entirely impossible. No matter what they plead, she refuses to change her mind. The council is unwavering. They keep insisting she override the tests to force his growth. They desperately want to push Tae-In to the absolute extreme, even if it kills him. The hidden power sleeping inside him is unlike anything she has ever seen, and she absolutely wants to devour it, slowly dragging Tae-In deep into the swamp. Layla frantically asks when this started as Yun panics over the rising dark muck. The dark slime has already risen all the way up to her thighs. She coldly declares they must drown in absolute despair. That is her only condition for this test. Tae-In just scoffs, asking if she really thinks it will be that easy. Suddenly, a massive explosion rips through the area as Tae-In steps forward with immense rage. He demands to know why these gods create humans only to destroy them. Anger flares as he immediately activates Stage 3 of his ascension. Tae-In once actually considered making her an ally, but those peaceful plans are officially dead. Time to forget that. He prepares his magic, but she reacts instantly. She casually blocks the deadly strike with her palm, proving it is useless. She warns that she will never allow such reckless and dangerous actions inside her domain. Tae-In is completely stunned, realizing her incredible power and speed match the legendary 12 houses. Her raw divine power is on a completely different level than prior enemies. She is genuinely trying to take his life without giving him a chance. But Tae-In isn't done yet. He still has one massive, completely broken trick left. Activating the powerful artifact of the Constellation of Wrath, he warns her he is stronger. A brutal berserker punch smashes directly into her protective guard.